Chapter 4383. What nonsense are you talking about? The white-dressed girl's voice turned cold as she snorted and walked out of the door. Sure enough, she saw Laughing Flower teasing her. Alright, I won't joke with you guys anymore. Laughing Flower was wearing a red dress. Her entire person gave off a bright and moving feeling. Her style had always been so lovable. When she saw Kang Shinmu walking out of the palace, her eyes immediately lit up. She could clearly feel that Kang Shinmu had become stronger. As for how strong he had become, she wasn't sure. But overall, it wouldn't be any smaller than her advancement this time. She had broken through to the peak of the 9th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Her strength had increased sharply compared to before. But looking at Kang Shinmu's current state, it seemed that he had improved even more than her. She didn't dwell on it and went straight to the point. The previous battle experience has ended. The Frost Dragon Emperor repelled the invaders from the Thunderbolt Dragon Nation. It is said that the strongest student of our Emperor Shi Academy, Feng Ligay, made a move and heavily injured the 2 Dragon Emperor from the Thunderbolt Dragon Nation. Fighting 1 against 2 and heavily injuring them, his strength is too strong. The moment he made a move, the Thunderbolt Dragon Nation immediately retreated and announced that they would never invade the Frost Dragon Emperor again. Since this matter has ended, as participants, we also received a portion of the rewards. Kang Shinmu, Xiao Bai, the 3 of us aren't strong, but this time, we have contributed quite a bit. Because the patrol commander that Kang Shinmu killed was the most important source of information for the Thunderbolt Dragon Nation. After that guy died, the Thunderbolt Dragon Nation's overall situation took a turn for the worse. They were suppressed by the Frost Dragon Emperor. Therefore, we received quite a lot of experience points. Of course, this isn't the main reason why I'm here today. The main reason is that a special mission appeared on the Experience Stone tablet today. As long as you are a student of the Dragon Martial Academy, you can participate. Xiao Yuhua continued. It said that there is a crack in the void in our martial dragon continent. Many demonic creatures are coming out from this crack. These demonic creatures are very strong and are currently blocked outside the martial dragon continent, but, all in all, it's just asking us to kill these monsters. I've taken a look, and the rewards are very generous. A void fissure. Demons had appeared. When Kang Shinmu heard this, his expression didn't change. He just frowned slightly and asked, "Do you know the approximate strength of these demons?" Moreover, from the sounds of it, there's a huge number of devils. I'm afraid we won't be able to deal with them with just the students of Dragon Force Academy. Of course, we're not the main force against the demons. Laughing Flower smiled and said, "I heard that our dean, many of the Dragon Emperor's instructors, and Feng Ligay and the others have all gone. However, they're really going to fight the demons head-on. As for us who haven't reached the Dragon Emperor's level, or students who haven't reached the Migres district's level, we're just going to experience it. It seems like the dean and the others aren't able to capture the weaker demons, so they want us to try hunting them. After all, these demons have a different fighting style from dragon warriors and demonic beasts. It'll be a bit difficult and uncomfortable to hunt them. We can challenge the difficulty. The more demons we kill, the more experience points we'll get in the end. I think this is our chance. In any case, our opponents won't be directly facing the demons coming out from the void fissure, but the captive demons captured by the dean and the others." This news made Kang Shinmu quite interested. This kind of challenging mission wasn't too dangerous, so it was just right for him. In any case, his current battle strength was very high, so he believed that the results of this challenge wouldn't disappoint him. The girl in the white dress was also quite interested in this matter. After that, the 3 of them went to the training steel together. They discovered that there were actually more than 10 people gathered around the steel, discussing something in groups of 2s and 3s. Kang Shinmu listened for a bit. It was probably related to the demons coming out of the void fissure this time. This matter wasn't kept a secret from the students, so almost all of them would know as long as they came near the training steel. Compared to the Beast Abyss, the invasion of demons in the void fissure this time was more relevant to ordinary students. After all, most of the students in the Dragon Martial Academy were below the Alioth district. I have a friend's aunt who's an instructor in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. There seems to be news that the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies are going to increase their investment. It's mainly about the Dragon Mark's energy. I think they're going to increase the number of people in each cultivation area. Originally, only 3 people were allowed to enter the Tianshu district, but after the increase, it's going to reach 7 people. Doesn't that mean more than double the number? That's right, and it's not just the Tianshu district. The Tianxian district, Tianji district, and Migres district will also increase the number of people. What about the Kaiyang district? I'm only concerned about whether I can leave the Alcade district. I've already stayed there for 10 years. The number of people will also increase. Kang Shinmu overheard all of these conversations. Most importantly, they didn't avoid anyone when they were talking, so it didn't matter if others heard them. This made Kang Shinmu a little surprised. The current scale of Dragon Mark energy in the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies should be fixed. Now that they were increasing the number of people in each cultivation area, could it be that more Dragon Mark energy would be provided? If that was the case, the speed at which the Dragon Martial Academy students could increase the grade of their divine dragon blood essence would greatly increase. Of course, even if many students had enough Dragon Mark energy, they wouldn't be able to break through the Dragon Emperor level and reach the level of a super divine dragon. However, even if they were able to break through at the Dragon Emperor level, their battle strength would still increase by a lot. Why is there such a sudden change? It's obvious that the higher-ups want our Dragon Martial Academy students to improve quickly, but what's their goal? Could it be that the higher-ups need more middle-level strength to do something for them? Or could it be that there's a powerful enemy invading and they urgently need more middle-level strength? This way, they wouldn't be able to nurture many top-level experts, but they would be able to increase the number of middle-level experts. The strongest students in their academies, such as Yu Tianchang from Donghuang Yangwu Academy and Feng Ligay from Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, wouldn't be able to obtain many benefits. However, to the other students, almost everyone would benefit from this, and the rate at which they could increase the grade of their divine dragon blood essence would increase by a lot. Of course, Kang Shinmu's current level was still too low, so he couldn't figure out the intentions of the higher-ups. To him, the most important thing was to become stronger, and the invasion of the demonic creatures in the void was an opportunity for him. He wasn't a match for powerful demonic creatures, but as long as he could kill some of them, he would be able to obtain experience points. This was too easy. Chapter 43-84. Xiao Yuhua came before the experience stone tablet and said in a low voice, "It is said that even the weakest void demon is comparable to our Yuheng district students. Students from Kaiyang district and Yaoguang district do not have the right to participate, but they can form teams and accept the mission, which is to work together to resist the attacks of the void demons. The stronger the attacks, the more times they resist, the more experience points they can get. As for us students who have reached Yuheng district, our mission is to kill void demon captives. The more we kill, the stronger the void demon captives we kill, the more experience points we get." Such rules did not seem like much on the surface, but it still made Kang Shinmu nervous. From the looks of it, those void demons weren't weak. The weakest had the strength of Yuheng district, and it was clear that the dean and the rest were facing a lot of pressure. And Kang Shinmu was also considering whether he should accept the mission alone, or form a team. It had to be said that his current strength was at most above the Yuheng district students, and could barely match the standards of the Migres district students. If he really went alone to kill the void demons, there might be some accidents. As for whether he would be killed, Kang Shinmu was not worried, as he had very strong survival skills. But it was hard to say if he could kill the void demons. After all, his attack power depended on the opponent's attack. "Let's form a team and go." Kang Shinmu thought for a while, and decided to go with Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white. His attack power was weaker, and he could not use the Dragon's Car blood pendant to fuse with the devouring power every time to devour the opponent's power for his own use. As for Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white, the two girls were not weak, and their attack power was even more outstanding. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, they should work well with him. He would take the role of a meat shield, and the two girls would be responsible for attacking. This way, it would definitely be easier to hunt the void demons in a team. In a team of 3, the difficulty will increase. Xiao Yuhua looked at Kang Xinmu, then smiled and said, "But with your cooperation, we can indeed challenge more difficult and stronger void demons. Furthermore, I heard that this training mission is jointly organized by the 4 great dragon martial academies. The dean and the others have captured some weaker void demonic creatures. They didn't have the time to make arrangements, so they're all gathered together. Therefore, the other students from the Dragon Martial Academy will be there as well." As he spoke, Xiao Yuhua, the white-dressed girl, and many of the surrounding students all looked at Kang Xinmu curiously. After all, Kang Xinmu came from Donghuang Yangwu College, so he must have a better understanding of the situation in Donghuang Yangwu College. As for the others, aside from the academy exchange that happened once every 10 years, they would rarely meet other students from the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, students who had reached the Migres zone would head to the Beast Abyss more frequently, and these students were an exception. However, students from the Migres district and above were in the minority. Most of them were students from the Alcade district. They weren't strong enough, and didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the academy exchange that happened once every 10 years. They could only watch. Therefore, Kang Xinmu, who came from Donghuang Yangwu College, became the target of their curiosity. However, Kang Xinmu didn't care about the gazes of the surrounding students. Instead, he thought about the various things that happened in Donghuang Yangwu College. He wondered how the current Donghuang Yangwu College had developed. His old friends, Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, Liang Luo, Chuyi, Luo Han, Su Qin. He wondered how their cultivation was going. They would definitely participate in the training mission against the void demonic creatures, right? I didn't expect to meet them again so soon. Kang Xinmu was a little emotional. He originally thought that he would have to wait until the academy exchange that happened once every 10 years to meet his old friends. He didn't expect to have the chance to meet them again so soon. Then let's form a team of 3. The difficulty will be higher than solo training, and will be assigned stronger void demonic creatures. But with Kang Xinmu around, I believe we can handle them. Xiao Yuhua smiled at the girl in the white dress. You've been with him for so many days, you should understand his current strength better. You should be fine with it, right? The girl in the white dress nodded cutely. Let's go together. She was now quite convinced of Kang Xinmu's strength. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that he could withstand her attacks for so long without dying was already a miracle. At the very least, if she were to fight against Kang Xinmu, she didn't have the slightest confidence that she could beat Kang Xinmu. Before we go, I want to wait for someone. Kang Xinmu said after some consideration. You want to wait for Ran Ran to return? Xiao Yuhua pursed her lips and smiled. Yes, she accepted a training mission 4 days ago and went out. She should be back soon. I heard that Kid Liang Xiao has been waiting for her to come back, and then ask her to form a team to deal with the monsters. You don't know, but Ran Ran is quite popular among the students in the Alcade district. The main thing is that her recovery speed is very fast. If we form a team with her to deal with the monsters, she should be able to block most of the attacks. It's very reassuring. Kang Xinmu couldn't help but purse his lips when he heard this. Right now, Ran Ran seemed to have a fast recovery speed. There was nothing wrong with that, but her defense was too weak. If she met an opponent that was too strong, she could be killed in an instant. When she comes back, I still have to wait for 3 days. Jiang Shenwu glanced at the experienced stone steel and saw that the demon hunting mission didn't have a time limit. It should be quite long, at least not 3 days. Jiang Shenwu looked at the experienced stone steel. Then, why don't we try it first? Xiao Yuhua didn't need to wait with Kang Xinmu, so she wanted to go take a look with the girl in the white dress first. This training mission seems to last for a month. After a month, the reward will be calculated according to the difficulty of the challenge. let's go take a look first. We can challenge together when you come back. Okay. Kang Shinmu nodded. It was good for them to go take a look first. At least after they were more familiar with the situation, they wouldn't blindly challenge the target. As for Kang Shinmu, he had to wait for Ran Ran to return. Of course, he had to pass on the Chaos Dragon body to her, or at least let her cultivate it successfully. No matter who she wanted to form a team with, no matter what difficulties she wanted to challenge, after cultivating the Chaos Dragon body, her defense would definitely become stronger, and she would get better results. Xiao Yuhua said that this training mission would last for a month, so there was still a lot of time left. Shortly after, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl set off first and teleported away through the Emperor Shi formation. Chapter 4385. The last time Ran Ran came back, Kang Shinmu was cultivating with the girl in the white dress in the palace. Therefore, Ran Ran did not disturb them. However, this time, Kang Shinmu was waiting for her to come back. Ran Ran, this is the body-refining dragon-type martial technique, chaotic dragon body. You can cultivate it. Kang Shinmu told her directly at the entrance of the palace, but I don't have any experience points left. If you need cultivation resources, you have to get them yourself. Kang Shinmu was not her babysitter. It was impossible for him to prepare everything for her. The materials needed to cultivate chaotic dragon body were not expensive in the early stages. Previously, Kang Shinmu did not spend much on cultivation. The main thing was to cultivate to the dragon level and heaven level, which required slightly more materials. Yes, I have my own experience points. Ran Ran nodded cutely and happily took the chaotic dragon body cultivation manual from Kang Shinmu. This was the cultivation manual that Kang Shinmu could only conclude after he cultivated chaotic dragon body to the heaven level. Before that, he could not write out the complete cultivation method of chaotic dragon body. Recently, Ran Ran had been working hard to earn experience points. She planned to exchange for another body-refining dragon-type martial technique. Unfortunately, when she first exchanged for this when she first entered Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, she used it on the source of body dragon body, Wind Death Tornado. If she wanted to exchange for another source of body dragon body, she would need to spend a lot of experience points. Based on her current efforts, she would need at least a year to consider exchanging for a body-refining dragon-type martial technique. Moreover, after exchanging for it, she would not have enough experience points to cultivate. Now, the chaotic dragon body that Kang Shinmu gave her was just right. By the way, do you want to participate in the mission to hunt void monsters with Liang Xiao? That guy's 9 heavenly dragon blood explosion is quite interesting. Kang Shinmu said with a smile. He was definitely in the same group as Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. As for Ran Ran and Liang Xiao, they were only students of the Alcade Zone and were not suitable to be with Kang Shinmu. They could only form their own teams and go on other training missions to resist the attacks of the void monsters. Yes, Liang Xiao is not bad. Ran Ran thought about it and nodded. From the looks of it, she should already know about the invasion of the void monsters, so Kang Shinmu didn't say much. After you cultivate the primal chaos dragon body, let's set off together. I'm afraid I won't be able to cultivate it to a stronger state within a month. I'll just cultivate it to the human level. Human level was a beginner. For Ran Ran, successfully cultivating the chaotic dragon body to the human level would only take 2 or 3 days. As for wanting to cultivate it to the earth level, it was not that easy. It required a lot of cultivation resources, and also required Jiang Shenwu's assistance. Cultivating this kind of body-refining dragon martial skill, in the end, still required someone to continuously attack it, causing it to be in a state of constant injury. Only then would it be more efficient. Yes. Ran Ran felt the same way. Although she had only cultivated the primal chaos dragon body, it was already enough to increase her ability to withstand attacks by several times. Originally, she didn't cultivate the body-tempering dragon martial technique. If she directly cultivated it, the effect would be very good. If Kang Shinmu could kill her with one move, then after she successfully cultivated it, one move from Kang Shinmu would not be able to hurt her at all. After all, Kang Shinmu wasn't famous for his powerful attacks. If he attacked himself now, he wouldn't be able to leave any marks on his body. Of course, if it was the girl in white who attacked Ran Ran, even if she successfully cultivated the chaotic dragon body, she wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack from the girl in white. It's said that the weakest of the void demonic creatures in this trial is equivalent to a student from the Yuheng district. Even if Ran Ran cultivated the chaotic dragon body, it's not very safe. Kang Shinmu thought for a while and finally took out a heavenly sacred halberd. This dragon-grade dragon weapon had already fused with Kang Shinmu's blood essence, but he basically didn't use the heavenly sacred halberd anymore. To him, this power was somewhat useless and not suitable for him. Therefore, he took it out and handed it to Ran Ran. This thing's defense is not bad. You can try to master it. It should be of help to you. Dragon-grade dragon weapons were not too precious to the students of the 4 dragon martial academies. After all, as long as they worked hard for a month or 2, they would be able to exchange their experience points for a dragon-grade dragon weapon. However, it was very rare for Kang Shinmu to give someone a dragon-grade dragon weapon out of thin air. Of course, this was nothing to Ran Ran. She knew that her relationship with Kang Shinmu was very good. As for how good it was, even she didn't know. There were many things that she couldn't remember clearly. She only knew that Kang Shinmu was very kind to her. Therefore, it was normal for her to accept something that Kang Shinmu gave her. And Ran Ran accepted the heavenly sacred halberd. This time, within 3 days, she had to successfully cultivate the chaotic dragon body and familiarize herself with the heavenly sacred halberd. The task was quite heavy. However, with Kang Shinmu accompanying her, she felt that it was worth it no matter how tired she was. Even if she didn't sleep or rest for 3 days, she had to complete these 2 tasks perfectly. Ran Ran's Cultivation Palace. Kang Shinmu was dressed in black and stood in the corridor of the side courtyard. Beside him stood a man in red, Liang Xiao, who was at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm in the Alcade district. When Kang Shinmu first saw Liang Xiao, he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. In such a short time, he actually advanced by 1 level. His talent was very high. No wonder he was the genius student that was recently recruited into Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. It was said that he was expected to advance to the Miang district soon. If there were more people in the various cultivation areas, he would probably be qualified to go to the Miang district to cultivate. However, this would definitely only be officially opened after this year's academy competition. As for the specific situation, no student knew. After all, the higher-ups probably hadn't made the final decision. Those who had the right to decide the energy of the Dragon Martial Academy's Dragon Mark were definitely existences of the Supreme Divine Dragon level. Even a dean like Yuyaji couldn't make the decision. This was because the Supreme Divine Dragon didn't seem to be a top-notch expert in the upper world. Compared to the Supreme Divine Dragon, the Supreme Divine Dragon was still a level lower. It could be said that Yuyaji, Zhou Xiaofeng, and the rest were just subordinates of the Supreme Divine Dragon. They might not even be the kind of subordinates that were too important. Of course, this was all Kang Shinmu's guess. He could only know the truth when he became stronger. For 3 days, Kang Shinmu constantly attacked Ran Ran, making the process of Ran Ran's chaotic dragon body a little difficult and painful. However, the speed was extremely fast. In just 3 days, Ran Ran relied on the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery to recover quickly and finally completed the cultivation of the chaotic dragon body. Although she was only at the human realm, Kang Shinmu's attacks were no longer effective. After all, Kang Shinmu's own attack power wasn't strong. Chapter 4386. To Liang Xiao, he wasn't interested in Ran Ran. If he was interested, he was only interested in Ran Ran's strength. As for her beauty and cuteness, they were nothing to Liang Xiao. On the contrary, Liang Xiao was rather interested in Kang Shinmu. After Ran Ran finished her cultivation, she was still familiarizing herself with the heavenly saint halberd while Kang Shinmu watched from the side. Liang Xiao was then led into the palace by Ran Ran. After that, this kid constantly surrounded Kang Shinmu and asked all sorts of questions. Not only was he interested in Kang Shinmu's strength and talent, but he was also very interested in Kang Shinmu's private affairs. Senior brother Jiang, you and Ran Ran came over from Donghuang Yangwu College together. Is there any special relationship between the two of you? Love between a man and a woman is human nature. But senior brother Jiang, you are still young. It is not the right time to think about such things. When you grow older, I, Liang Xiao, can teach you some things. No matter what, I, Liang Xiao, am also someone who came from a brothel. I am already very open about these things. This kid chattered non-stop at the side. Kang Shinmu was annoyed to death by him and slapped him out of the palace. Out of sight, out of mind. There really didn't seem to be any relationship between him and Ran Ran. In Kang Shinmu's eyes, this last Ran Ran only had a good impression of him and worshipped him. As for love, it couldn't be considered. After all, Ran Ran couldn't remember many things now. Her feelings were relatively simple. As for himself, he indeed didn't have the mood to talk about love. After all, he was still young and shouldn't be thinking about such things at such a young age. On this point, Liang Xiao was right. It was just that Kang Shinmu didn't need his reminder, so he simply slapped him away. Looking at this scene, Ran Ran simply wanted to laugh. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, other than Jiang Shinwu, Liang Xiao was the one who had a better relationship with Ran Ran. In the past, he often went out to train with her. Sometimes, it wasn't just the two of them who went out to train. There were also other people. Some male students were very interested in Ran Ran. However, if they made any inappropriate actions or even words towards Ran Ran, Liang Xiao would directly teach them a lesson. Among the students in the Alcade district, Liang Xiao could be considered the boss. Normally, wherever he went, he was awe-inspiring. Unfortunately, in front of Jiang Shinwu, this was just a little fellow, the kind that could be sent flying with a single slap. After 3 days, Ran Ran had successfully cultivated the Chaos Dragon body. She used her experience points to exchange for various kinds of natural treasures. These natural treasures were relatively common, so it was not too expensive to exchange for a set. At that time, Kang Shinmu still remembered that it was the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon who had found these materials for him. When he thought about it, he sighed. It had been so long, but he hadn't brought any benefits to the Heaven Awakening Demon Dragon. This Heaven Opening Devil Dragon was also involved in 2 wars with the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. It was quite a tragic end. In these 3 days, not only did Ran Ran successfully cultivate the Chaos Dragon body, but she also familiarized herself with the power of the Heavenly Sage Halberd. Her battle prowess could be said to have increased by a large margin. As for whether she wanted to cultivate the chaotic dragon body to the earth level, that would depend on herself and when she could earn enough experience points. Exchanging for those heavenly treasures required experience points. If it was a Yuheng district student doing a mission, it would very likely only take a month, but if it was Ran Ran herself, it would very likely take 2 to 3 months. After all, compared to the students above her, her strength was indeed a bit lacking. That's why this training session against the void demons is very important. If she can obtain enough experience points, she can even directly cultivate the Chaos Dragon body to the dragon level. Then the strength of her physical body will be about the same as mine before. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. Just the dragon-level Chaos Dragon body alone could provide a physical body that was comparable to any of the other body-refining dragon martial techniques that Kang Shinmu had cultivated. Honestly speaking, these 2 body-refining dragon martial techniques, the Magic Crystal, the Iron Blood Dragon body, these 2 body-refining dragon martial techniques, to be honest, did not seem to have much of an effect on Kang Shinmu. Therefore, Kang Shinmu did not have the intention to cultivate these 2 body-refining dragon martial techniques to a higher level. Right now, he only wanted the Origin Dragon martial technique. He felt that the other dragon martial techniques were too weak, at least not suitable for his current level. Perhaps they would still be quite useful in battles of the same level. But now, the opponents that Kang Shinmu was basically facing were all opponents that were much stronger than him. Therefore, these low-level dragon martial techniques were in fact not very useful. Finally, Ran was done with her preparations. Liang Xiao also found 3 other students from the Alcade district to form a 5-man team with Ran. This was the minimum requirement for students from the Alcade district to go to the Void Beasts for training. The instructors requested that students from the Alcade district had to form a team of at least 5 people before they could participate in the training against the Void Beasts. This time, Liang Xiao found his own instructor to lead the team. She was a powerful woman from the 6th level of the Dragon Emperor. This time, she came back to lead Liang Xiao's team, and at the same time, she brought Kang Shinmu along. From the expression of this Dragon Emperor instructor, Kang Shinmu could tell that the situation did not seem to be very good. Our Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy has a Dragon Emperor instructor who sacrificed himself. The instructor said inside, "Those void beasts are our mortal enemies. Remember, when you go to the battlefield, although they are all demon captives, they are all very fierce. Do not be careless. There has already been an accident at the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy, and a student from the Alcade district has died." These words sounded an alarm bell for the following dragon martial arts students. It could be said that this training would really be life-threatening. A student from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy had actually died, and a Dragon Emperor instructor from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy had sacrificed himself while fighting against the Void Beasts. It was conceivable that the other Dragon Emperor instructors from the other Dragon Martial Academies might have also died, but this instructor did not say anything. What kind of existence are the Void Beasts? With such a complicated feeling, Kang Shinmu followed this Dragon Emperor instructor through the Emperor Shi formation. Soon, when he opened his eyes again, what entered his eyes was a scene that looked like the void. It was dark all around, and in the distance, there were dots of starlight that flickered continuously. All of them seemed to have arrived at a starry sky outside the Dragon Martial Continent. Above the Dragon Martial Continent, at the peak of the cloud layer, there is a layer of barrier. After passing through this barrier, it is the starry sky. We dragon martial artists can soar in the starry sky. Now, the Void Beasts have appeared in the starry sky. If they pass through the barrier, the entire Dragon Martial Continent will face a disaster. The 4 great Dragon Martial Academies have the responsibility to stop all the Void Beasts outside. Chapter 4387. That direction in the starry sky was where the students were training. As for the mentor's battlefield, it was in the distant starry sky, in a crack in the void thousands of miles away from here. Kang Shinmu and the rest looked in the direction the mentor was pointing at and saw some obvious lights coming from there. It should be the students from the 4 Dragon Martial Academies gathering there for training. In the opposite direction, thousands of miles away in the starry sky, there was a pitch-black crack that stretched across the starry sky. Even light was mercilessly devoured and it passed through this pitch-black crack. A chill came from the direction of the pitch-black crack and spread over thousands of miles away, causing the students present to tremble. "That crack in the void is our battlefield," Instructor Dragon Emperor said with a serious expression. "All the students who have entered the Fecta zone are now fighting near the crack. If they are not careful, they will be torn to shreds by the Void Beasts, but they have no qualms about participating in the battle against the beasts. As for the rest of you, you must participate in the training first. Your strength is still not enough, and you will only die if you go on the battlefield. Therefore, pay attention when you go on the training. These monsters are powerful, but there are also similarities between them. This is something you need to discover on your own. Try your best to become stronger so that you can fight against the monsters head-on in the future. Although it is very dangerous to fight against the monsters head-on in the crack, as long as you can gain something, you will benefit much more than in the Beast Abyss. After all, the Beast Abyss is a relatively safe place, but near the crack, it is very likely that your mentor will be killed by the monsters. Therefore, you may not be able to get help at the critical moment. The training ground, you guys go on your own. After Mentor Dragon Emperor finished speaking, he disappeared from everyone's sight and headed straight for the big crack in the void in the starry sky. Mentor Dragon Emperor, they had a lot of work to do. They had come back to pick them up, but it was just along the way. Now, only Liang Xiao, Ran, and their team of 5 were left. Including Kang Shinmu, there were 6 of them in the void. For a moment, they were all at a loss. They were all students of the Dragon Martial Academy, and their training missions had been the same for the past few decades. They were all trivial matters in the Dragon Emperor Kingdom, such as hunting demonic beasts or betrayal of dragon martial artists. But all of a sudden, a spatial crack had appeared above the martial dragon continent, and the so-called demonic creatures had invaded the martial dragon continent. Many students from the Dragon Martial Academy were dumbfounded by this matter. On the other hand, the Dragon Emperor instructors of the Dragon Martial Academy seemed to have long been prepared for this. They were very passionate about fighting against external enemies. Let's go to the training grounds. In the end, Kang Shinmu shook his head. He took one last look at the crack in the void and knew that it was not a place he could participate in right now. The Dragon Emperor instructors, the dean, and the powerful students were all fighting against the demonic creatures there, guarding the crack and not letting the demonic creatures in the crack break through the line of defense. All they had to do was deal with some of the demonic beast captives that their predecessors had captured for them to temper themselves. Perhaps this was just a reason to give the students experience points. At the same time, it allowed the students to familiarize themselves with the demonic creatures that came from the void. Kang Shinmu brought Ran, Liang Xiao, and the other 4 to fly through the void after transforming into dragons. They were getting closer and closer to the area in the void where the light was coming from. Very soon, they realized that it was a spherical space. The entire spherical space was surrounded by a protective barrier that was emitting a faint light. The barrier looked very gentle, but Kang Shinmu could keenly sense that there was an extremely turbulent power hidden within the barrier. This was a training ground for the students of the 4 great academies, so it naturally had to be well protected. Otherwise, if any demonic creatures broke through the barrier and all the students here died, the situation of the entire Dragon Martial Continent would become extremely bad. After all, the students of the Dragon Martial Academy were the most talented dragon martialists in the entire Dragon Martial Continent. When Kang Shinmu and the others arrived, a gap appeared on the protective barrier of the spherical space. It seemed that someone had sensed the arrival of the dragon martialists and opened a door for them. Kang Shinmu led the 5 of them into the spherical space and sensed that there were many powerful dragon martialists gathered in this space. There were many familiar auras, but there were even more unfamiliar auras. Most importantly, there was an extremely dark and cold aura that spread throughout the entire spherical space. This dark and cold aura came from the demonic creatures in the void. The demonic creatures that had been captured by the Academy's powerhouses were everywhere in this spherical space. They were all locked up in small sealed cages. If a student group or an individual wanted to challenge them, they could enter the cages and engage in fierce battles with the demonic creatures. Jiang Shenwu brought the 5 of them to this place, and the first thing that entered their eyes was a starry blue light barrier that imprisoned a devil within it. That devil's entire body was pitch black, and it seemed to be a crawling creature. Its body was over 300 meters long, and it could be considered to be a small devil. This demonic creature did not seem to have eyes, and there was only a large mouth on its head. However, it had 6 arms, or rather, 6 legs. It was a creature that crawled on the ground. Its body was completely black, and its scales looked extremely tough. It possessed extremely powerful defensive abilities, and most importantly, there was something that looked like black chains wrapped around its body. These chains wrapped around and slid around the demonic creature's body, looking like the demonic creature's weapons. This is a void demonic creature. Kang Shinmu's expression darkened. This void demonic creature does not look very strong, but it is extremely dangerous to you. The students of the Dragon Martial Academy basically all had inherited blood essence at the Heavenly Dragon level. Every dragon was 400 to 500 meters long. In comparison, this void demonic creature in front of them was only a bit over 300 meters long, appearing rather small. However, Kang Shinmu could sense that this demonic creature's cultivation was at least at the 7th level of the rebirth realm. The 7th level of the rebirth realm was equivalent to the blood essence of a divine dragon at the holy dragon level. Such an existence was definitely not something that the students of the Arcade Zone could deal with. Even if they formed a 5-man team, they would be easily torn to shreds by it. This is a high-ranked demonic soldier. At this moment, a clear voice sounded from the side. Kang Shinmu turned to look and saw Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl walking towards them. As they looked at the demonic creature in front of them, they said, "Demonic soldiers, demonic generals, demonic commanders. Among the void demonic creatures, they have a strict hierarchy." Chapter 4388. After Xiao Yuhua's explanation, Kang Shinmu ran, and the rest finally understood the general situation of the Dragon Martial Academy students training with the void monsters here. The void monsters that had emerged from the void cracks this time were mainly divided into 3 levels. The lowest level was Demon Soldier. Of course, Demon Soldier was what the void monsters called them internally. To the Dragon Martial Academy students, they preferred to call them Demon Soldier as it was more pleasing to the ear. After all, Demon Soldier was a demon soldier. Those who did not know would think that it was a type of weapon similar to a dragon soldier. Strangely enough, the language of these void demons seemed to be able to be understood, and some Dragon Emperor teachers could even translate for them. This was something that many students found strange. As for what was going on, the low-level Dragon Martial Academy students naturally did not know. Including Xiao Yuhua and many other students, they basically only knew some basic things. For example, void monsters at the level of Demon Soldier were the most basic unit of the Void Monster Legion. They were considered the weakest among the void monsters. The level of Demon Soldier was equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon. However, even the weakest Demon Soldier was divided into several levels. First, there were low-level Demon Soldiers. They were equivalent to the 1st to 3rd levels of the rebirth realm. Some were slightly stronger, while others were slightly weaker. They were equivalent to cannon fodder in the Void Monster Legion. Even the weakest low-level Demon Soldier had the strength of the Yuheng District students. This was not wrong. On average, they were Holy Dragon experts at the 2nd level of the rebirth realm. This level was not something that the Arcade District and Kaiyang District students could deal with alone. One had to know that the first battle that Kang Shinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed girl encountered when they went to the Frost Dragon Emperor Court was against a wandering Holy Dragon. That wandering Holy Dragon's strength was about the same as a low-level Demon Soldier. Moreover, the students had limited understanding of void monsters. It could be said that low-level Demon Soldiers were more dangerous than Dragon Martial Artists or Demon Beasts of the same level. Above low-level Demon Soldiers were middle-level Demon Soldiers. They were equivalent to Holy Dragon experts between the 4th and 6th levels of the rebirth realm. A demon soldier of this level was not something an ordinary Yuheng District student could deal with. For example, if Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl encountered a middle-level demon soldier alone, they would definitely die. Unless the two of them worked together with a meat shield like Kang Shinmu, a dragon warrior, there was no way they could contend against a middle-level demon soldier. Above the middle-ranked fiend soldiers were the even more powerful high-ranked fiend soldiers. They were equivalent to Holy Dragon experts at the 7th to 9th stage of the rebirth tribulation realm. Of course, demon soldiers of this level were not common. In fact, they were extremely rare. This was because demon soldiers were the weakest among the void fiends. It was normal for void fiends to be at the demon soldier level and be able to break through to the high stage of the rebirth tribulation realm. After all, the void demons seemed to be constantly at war. Unlike the dragon martial artists on the Dragon Martial continent, who had a peaceful enough environment for them to cultivate, both the Sky Dragon and the Sacred Dragon would produce experts at the peak of the Samsara tribulation realm. Therefore, high-ranked demon soldiers were extremely rare. With Xiao Yuhua's explanation, Kang Xinmu knew that the high-ranked demon soldier imprisoned in the blue cage in front of them was the only high-ranked demon soldier in the entire training camp. And above the demon soldiers were demon spirits. Void demons of this level were larger in size and stronger in body. Furthermore, they had the ability to use demonic martial techniques. They could be considered as the captains of the Void Demon Army. Void demons of the demon spirit level were less than 1/10 of the demon soldiers. However, their combat strength was equivalent to the Dragon King experts at the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Like demon soldiers, demon spirits were divided into 3 levels from weak to strong: low-ranked, middle-ranked, and high-ranked. Low-ranked demon spirits were at the 1st to 3rd stage of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Correspondingly, middle-ranked and high-ranked are at the middle and advanced stages of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl were the inheritors of the Dragon King's blood essence at the peak of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. It was impossible for any of them to be a match for any of the lesser devil spirits. Low-ranked demon spirits had the strength of the Dragon King at the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Such experts were existences that only a team of students in the Migres zone could contend with. As for middle-ranked demon spirits and high-ranked demon spirits, they were extremely rare. They were definitely not existences that ordinary students could deal with. At the very least, students who had reached the level of the Dragon Emperor could defeat them alone when their cultivation was 3 or 4 stages lower than theirs. Of course, if they formed a team, the situation would be different. Different teams of students who were dragon warriors would have completely different effects. The difference in combat strength could be said to be like heaven and earth. Above demon spirits were demon generals. Demon generals were the inheritors of the blood essence at the level of the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, their cultivation was at least at the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Therefore, only students from the Dragon Martial Academy in the first 3 zones were qualified to challenge demon generals. Among them, there were even some powerful demon generals that only Mentor Dragon Emperor had the ability to kill. The number of demon generals was less than 1,000th of the void demons. They were a relatively rare existence. However, in this training camp, they had captured 2 low-ranked demon generals. As for middle-ranked and high-ranked demon generals, they could not be captured alive. Even Mentor Dragon Emperor could only kill them at most. He could not bring them back alive. If he wanted to forcefully bring them back, there was a high possibility that accidents would occur on the way. Because void demons of this level were already extremely powerful. They could even easily destroy the weaker Dragon Emperor countries in the Dragon Martial continent, such as the Flame Dragon Emperor dynasty and the Northern Chill Dragon country. These Dragon Emperor countries of the Dragon Emperor countries had almost no ability to resist in front of middle-ranked and high-ranked demon generals. Above the demon generals, there was the highest commander of the void demons, the demon marshals. The demon marshals were powerful existences equivalent to the super dragon god. Now, 2 demon marshals had emerged from the void crack. 2 deans were blocking them, while the other 2 deans were in charge of sealing the void crack. The entire void crack was basically sealed. After void demons passed through the void crack, they could not leave the area of the void crack. Once they broke through the sealed defense, they could easily find the way to the Dragon Martial continent and pose a threat to the Dragon Martial continent. Demon soldiers, demon spirits, demon generals, demon marshals, the 4 levels of void demons formed an army and invaded the sky above the Dragon Martial continent through the void crack. Chapter 4389. Right now, Kang Xinmu could only try his best to kill some weaker void monsters to earn experience points and become stronger. If I want to reach Dragon Emperor faster, I'll have to head deeper into the Dragon Martial Academy's cultivation area. As long as I can get to the heaven area, I'll be able to absorb the Dragon Mark's energy much faster. To be qualified to enter the heaven area to cultivate, the most important thing is still strength. Right now, I'm fighting to improve my strength. Kang Xinmu was very clear about his current cultivation direction. After telling everyone about the matter, Xiao Yuhua pointed to some students from the Dragon Martial Academy not far away and said, "Most of the students here are here to train by fighting with void demonic creatures. Students from the Arcade Zone form a team of at least 5 and at most 7 people, and challenge low-level demon soldiers. As long as you can withstand one move from a low-level demon soldier, you'll pass and record the challenge result. Normally, a team of 5 in the Arcade Zone can't defeat a low-level demon soldier. Therefore, to the students of the Arcade Zone, their challenge result is based on how many moves they can withstand from a low-level demon soldier. Right now, the strongest team in the Arcade Zone can withstand 5 moves from a low-level demon soldier. However, after the team of 6 joined forces and withstood 5 moves, all of them were injured. Some of them were so injured that they could no longer fight. According to the highest challenge result a month later, students can obtain different amounts of experience points. It can be said that the reward for experience points this time is extremely generous. If you can withstand 5 moves from a low-ranked demon soldier, you can earn at least 3 years' worth of experience points from the Arcade Zone. Even if you can withstand 3 moves from a low-level demon soldier, it's equivalent to 1 year of experience points outside. Of course, if you can only withstand 1 move from a low-level demon soldier, you can only obtain experience points equivalent to 1 month of effort. It's a consolation reward. Xiao Yuhua mainly told this to Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others. When the 5 of them heard this, they immediately understood. This rule was obviously to make the strong stronger, and the weak could only obtain consolation rewards. But the current situation seemed to be exactly as it should be. Only the strong were worthy of being rewarded with more experience points, as the strong now would be the stronger ones in the future. Only by nurturing them would the overall strength of the Dragon Martial Academy be increased. Ran Ran, if you can withstand 5 moves from a low-ranked demon soldier, the reward will be considerable. You can even consider exchanging for a medial grade origin dragon martial technique. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. The reward this time was indeed very generous. It was so rich that he wanted to stay in the Arcade District and challenge the inferior demon soldiers. If he was still in the Arcade District, given his strength, he wouldn't be hurt no matter how a low-rank demon soldier attacked him. In other words, he could take as many blows as he wanted. However, Xiao Yuhua also said, of course, in order to prevent students from cheating, there is a limit to the reward for a single challenge. As long as a student in the Arcade District can withstand 7 moves from a low-rank demon soldier, they can obtain the highest reward. It's equivalent to 7 years of experience points for a student in the Arcade District. Of course, the students in the Arcade District are relatively weak, and their strength improves very quickly. If they really want to obtain these points through training missions outside, they should only need 2 or 3 years. The stronger ones can even get them in less than a year. Furthermore, the results of the Arcade District's 7 years of hard work can be obtained by the Jade District students in 2 years. Therefore, this time, the stronger ones staying in the Arcade District won't be able to obtain as much. The students in the Arcade District can also start the challenge as a low-rank demon soldier, but the condition is that they have to kill a low-rank demon soldier. Different low-rank demon soldiers have different strength. They are equivalent to the 1st to 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. We need to challenge every low-rank demon soldier. If we can kill a 3rd level demon soldier, we have the right to challenge a middle-rank demon soldier. Similarly, we have to start from the 4th level to the 6th level. Of course, after successfully killing a 3rd level demon soldier, we can also choose to challenge a low-rank demon spirit. Of course, the difficulty is higher than that of a middle-rank demon soldier. We can decide what kind of opponent we want to challenge. The level of the void monster we kill in the end will determine the level of experience points we get. Kang Shinmu, if we can kill a low-rank demon spirit, we can get at least 3 years of experience points. Our 3 years is equivalent to about 10 years of experience points for the students in the Arcade District. And the upper limit of experience points we can get this time is about 7 to 8 years of experience points outside. In terms of amount, it's 4 times that of the students in the Arcade District. After hearing Xiao Yuhua's explanation, Kang Shinmu roughly understood the rules of the reward. In terms of amount, the upper limit of rewards for the students in the Yuheng district was twice that of the students in the Kaiyang district and 4 times that of the students in the Alcade district. Compared to the students above, it was much less. For example, the upper limit of rewards for the students in the Migres district was twice that of Kang Shinmu and the others. Of course, this upper limit was set there. It was hard to say if anyone could reach it. If the students in the Yuheng district want to get the upper limit of experience points, they have to kill at least a middle-rank demon spirit. However, it's not the 4th level, but the 6th level. Xiao Yuhua continued. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. In other words, it's equivalent to the Dragon King at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. An opponent of this level wasn't too difficult. Of course, this was only for him. For the ordinary students in the Yuheng district, they probably wouldn't even be able to take 3 moves from an opponent of this level. As for Kang Shinmu, it wouldn't be a big problem for him to block the Dragon King at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. However, the problem was that he didn't understand the void monsters at all, and his attack power was lacking. Even if the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua could make up for this, it was hard to say if their attacks would be effective against the middle-rank demon spirit. Only after the challenge began would he have a better understanding. Such a huge reward of experience points. This feels great. As long as I can reach the upper limit, I'll be able to exchange for a high-grade origin source dragon martial technique when I return. Perhaps I'll still be lacking a bit of experience points, but it won't be too much. If I obtain the high-grade origin source dragon martial technique, my strength will increase further. I wonder if the devouring power can devour the power of the void monsters and use it against them? Kang Shinmu wasn't very sure about this. After all, the void monsters were a species he didn't understand at all. As for the mentors of the academy, perhaps they had some understanding of the void monsters, but they didn't understand Kang Shinmu's devouring power at all. Chapter 4390. The voice belonged to Kang Shinmu's friend from Donghuang Yangwu College, Qin Fengyu. Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua were the first 2 friends he made after joining Donghuang Yangwu College. They were both students under Chu Yueqiang. Their cultivation and talents were not particularly high, but they were decent people. Senior Sister Qin. Kang Shinmu glanced at Qin Fengyu and greeted her with a smile. There were a few other students from Donghuang Yangwu College with Qin Fengyu. Lu Hua was naturally among them. Apart from them, there were also Bao Peng, Qin Shouji, and Chu Yi. Brother Jiang, how have you been? Chu Yi ran up and punched Kang Shinmu with a chuckle. I've been fine. Kang Shinmu could not help but feel gratified when he saw that they still treated him the same. It seemed that Zhou Xiaofeng's prestige among Donghuang Yangwu College's students was not that great. Of course, that was only for Kang Shinmu's close friends. If it was someone else from Donghuang Yangwu College, they might not have such an attitude. Let's not talk about it anymore. Donghuang Yangwu College is not friendly to Kang Shinmu now. Qin Shouji lowered his voice and said, just a little communication is enough. It might be inconvenient if we stay together all the time. This guy had always been against Kang Shinmu. He was not a bad person, but he was a little mean with his words. He could see it clearly under such circumstances and reminded his teammates. That's true. Qin Fengyu nodded dejectedly. She really wanted to communicate with Kang Shinmu. After all, in her eyes, Kang Shinmu's talents were top-notch. He might very well be on the same level as Yu Tianchang in the future and be at the peak of the Dragon Martial Academy. Therefore, if she could communicate more with Kang Shinmu, even if it was just a little bit of cultivation experience, it would be of great help to her. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu had become a traitor of Donghuang Yangwu College. If she got too close to Kang Shinmu, it was very likely that something would happen to her in Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, he could only greet Kang Shinmu casually. I didn't expect that we would have such a chance to meet. When Chu Yi heard Qin Shouji's words, he immediately became cautious. He looked around and patted Kang Shinmu's shoulder. However, our level is still too low, we can't help Brother Jiang much. If Brother Jiang wants to know anything about Donghuang Yangwu College, feel free to tell me. Chu Yi and Kang Shinmu could be considered to be very sincere. Only he and Kang Shinmu knew what they were going to say next. Chu Yi actually said that he wanted to communicate with Kang Shinmu once a month, and the place of the communication would be in the Boundary Forest. The two of them agreed on a time to meet in the Boundary Forest. It wouldn't take long. This way, Chu Yi could bring some information about Donghuang Yangwu College to Kang Shinmu, and Chu Yi didn't need much. He just wanted Kang Shinmu to bring him some cultivation resources every time they met. This deal was quite beneficial to both parties. It was fortunate that Chu Yi was able to think of it. The cultivation resources that he asked Kang Shinmu to bring were nothing to Kang Shinmu. He could easily exchange for dozens of them. However, to Chu Yi, his strength was not as good as Kang Shinmu's. If he wanted to break through to a higher level in the Alcade district, he would definitely need more resources and more effort. Obviously, Chu Yi wanted to get in touch with Kang Shinmu so that his cultivation realm could improve faster. Alright, I promise you. From now on, we will meet on this day every month. Kang Shinmu nodded. After the two of them finished whispering to each other, the other side also finished talking. It was mainly Qin Fengyu who chatted with Ran Ran, asking about the situation at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. In reality, Ran Ran spent most of her time training outside Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. She really didn't know much about Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. It was mainly Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others who asked about the situation of challenging the void monsters here. Qin Fengyu and the others happened to be a team of 5. They had been at this training ground for 2 days. In these 2 days, they tried to challenge a low-level demonic soldier. In the end, they could only withstand 2 moves from it after joining forces. If they could withstand 2 moves, they would be rewarded quite a lot. It was almost equivalent to the experience points they would get from working outside for half a year. However, compared to the other Dragon Martial Academy students, this amount of experience points was really too little. Of course, there were many teams made up of students from the Alcade district who could not even take a single blow. Those were the salted fish of the Dragon Martial Academy. They were basically idlers in the Dragon Martial Academy, and it was impossible for them to become a super divine dragon in their lifetime. Even the Dragon Emperor could only barely reach that level when they had joined the Dragon Martial Academy for close to 100 years. It turned out that there were many students like that in the Dragon Martial Academy. However, it seemed that such students were very likely to be eliminated early. It would be a waste of resources to let them stay in the Dragon Martial Academy. It was better to let them get lost and give the Dragon Mark energy to the Dragon Martial artists who had more hope of becoming powerful. Some of the Dragon Martial artists might not be very talented and were not qualified to join the Dragon Martial Academy. However, recently, there were rumors that they would recruit a batch of more hardworking young Dragon Martial artists and let them become preparatory students of the Dragon Martial Academy. At the same time, the various Dragon Martial Academies would open up a place outside the Alcade district where the Dragon Mark energy was thinner for these hardworking young Dragon Martial artists to cultivate. In that case, perhaps they could nurture more powerful martial artists to serve the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, this was all uncertain. Right now, Kang Shinmu did not know the exact situation. In any case, it had nothing to do with him. He thought of the charming inn in the Donghuang Dragon Martial City, where Yu Tiangshang was taking care of the Fire Phoenix Princess. If the Dragon Martial Academy really wanted to recruit more Dragon Martial artists, the Fire Phoenix Princess might have a chance. However, was it really a good idea to join the Donghuang Yangwu College? I believe Yu Tiangshang will think about it. Kang Shinmu shook his head and did not think too much about it. He had to focus on the challenge against the void demons and fight for more experience points as a reward. After a brief discussion, Qi left with his 4 teammates. They did not dare to stay with Kang Shinmu for too long. After Chu Yi and Qin Fengyu left, Xiao Yuhua suggested that Ran Ran and the others try first to see how many moves they could take from the inferior demon soldier and what level they were at. Nobody objected to this. They looked around and saw that there were many students from the Dragon and Martial Academy present. Some of them were familiar faces from Emperor Shi's Dragon and Martial Academy, but there were also some faces that they were completely unfamiliar with. They were all students from the other 3 Dragon and Martial Academies. As for Kang Xinmu, even if he saw some of the students from the Dongwang Yangwu College, he would not find them familiar. This was because he had not been in the Dongwang Yangwu College for long, so many people had not seen him before. Chapter 4391. Someone is going to challenge again. I think it's a student from Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy. Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy? I really don't want to see those beauties being bullied by those void demons. Hey, look, isn't that Ran Ran who just joined our Donghuang Yangwu Academy? The one who defected with Kang Xinmu. Hey, it's really her. I didn't expect her to actually come. Not only her, but Kang Xinmu also came personally. I just saw him walking with 2 beauties from Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy. This Kang Xinmu, to be honest, I'm really envious of him. He's the center of attention wherever he goes. After all, his cultivation talent is extremely high. Otherwise, even if he wanted to defect, Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy wouldn't want him. Everyone was discussing animatedly. In this training ground in the starry sky, there was a huge protective barrier that spanned across the entire space. This was the place where Dragon Force Academy students were allowed to train with the void demons. Many Yongguang Academy students had to come up with a plan to deal with each void demon, even if it was just a low-level devil soldier. Only then would they go up to challenge. Moreover, every time they challenged, the Dragon Force Academy students would suffer more serious injuries. For the time being, they couldn't continue fighting and had to retreat to the side to recuperate. Therefore, there weren't many teams that went up to challenge. Basically, there would only be one team that went up to challenge every 4 hours. Many of the students that were injured and challenged were recuperating around the challenge platform while observing the situation on the platform. To them, if they wanted to continuously challenge higher levels and gain more experience points, they had to make use of the limited time they had to gain a better understanding of the void demons. When Ran Ran's team of 5 went up to challenge, many people in the surroundings started gossiping and pointing at Ran Ran's team. In her team of 5, other than Liang Xiao and herself, the other 3 were all beauties. After all, they were students from Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy, so they were mostly female. There were students from the 4 academies in the surroundings. Furthermore, there were students from all regions, including the Dragon Emperor. Of course, most of them were Dragon King level students from the Alcade region. For Dragon Emperor, as well as some of the core district students, the challenges of the Alcade district students were nothing worth seeing. They were just going in to be beaten up by the void monsters. Even the weakest void monster could directly crush the Alcade district students. The difference was how many moves the students of the Alcade district could withstand. They weren't interested in it either. However, this time, many people looked at Ran Ran with great interest. Most of them were students from Donghuang Yangwu College and Emperor Shi Longwu Academy. The students of these 2 academies all knew that Ran Ran had been transferred from Donghuang Yangwu College to Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy. As for whether or not she had defected, many people couldn't say for sure, so they didn't bother to think about it. Right now, they only wanted to know how strong Ran Ran had become after leaving Donghuang Yangwu College and joining Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy. One had to know that it hadn't been long since she left Donghuang Yangwu College. As for Donghuang Yangwu College, she had only joined for a short while before leaving. In other words, Ran Ran had only joined Dragon Force Academy for a short period of time. In such a short period of time, how much could she have improved? Usually, the newcomers of Dragon Force Academy wouldn't even form a team with them to undergo demonic experiential training. That was because this required experienced teammates with powerful combat strength and keen senses. This was the foundation of fighting against demonic creatures. However, Ran Ran had only joined Dragon Force Academy for a short period of time. Why would someone be willing to form a team with her? The students of Donghuang Yangwu College wanted to see Ran Ran's current strength. If Ran Ran's performance was too weak, they would undoubtedly ridicule her. Many of the spectating students of Emperor Shi Dragon Force Academy were also looking at Ran Ran with interest. Some of them had seen Ran Ran and Liang Zhao's battle before. At that time, the victor hadn't been decided yet. They always felt that the dean was biased. After all, Liang Zhao wasn't weak. If the battle continued, he might not necessarily lose to Ran Ran. Who would have thought that Ran Ran would actually form a team with Liang Zhao to challenge the demonic creatures in the void? Currently, the strongest team from the Brilliance District has 6 people. Even after joining forces, they were attacked by the inferior Devil Soldier for 5 moves. I wonder how long Ran Ran's team can last. Many people raised their heads in anticipation. Coincidentally, there were no other teams challenging the demonic creatures. Liang Zhao led Ran Ran and the other 3 girls forward and saw the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors. They were all powerful Dragon Emperor instructors from the 4 great Dragon Force academies. They were arranged here to preside over matters related to the demonic creatures in the void. Kang Xinmu had never seen the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors before. Kang Xinmu hadn't even seen the instructors in charge of Emperor Shi Academy and East Emperor Academy, let alone those from North Desolate Academy and South Emperor Academy. There should be many Dragon Emperor instructors in the 4 great Dragon Force academies. Many of them have been cultivating diligently. It's rare for outsiders to see them. Now that the demonic creatures are invading, these Dragon Emperor instructors seem to have been assigned missions. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. These Dragon Emperor instructors who were cultivating in seclusion didn't know about the recent happenings. They also didn't know about Ran Ran and Kang Xinmu. After all, to them, the Brilliance District and Alioth District were too low of a level. Those who could enter their eyes were at least students from the districts with the word heaven in their names. Therefore, the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors didn't have any expression in their eyes when they saw Ran Ran, Liang Zhao, and the other 4. You are here to challenge? Register first. One of the middle-aged Dragon Emperor instructors took out a jade scroll and asked Liang Zhao to register their identities. 4 girls and 1 guy from Emperor Shi Academy, right? One of the beautiful Dragon Emperor instructors was wearing a red dress. She was extremely beautiful and exuded a fatal temptation. Yet, she also concealed an extremely terrifying aura. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly and she encouraged Liang Zhao and Ran Ran, Emperor Shi Academy's Brilliance District students from Dragon Force Academy. Your performance in the past few days was only average. I hope you can impress others. This beautiful Dragon Emperor instructor was one of the Dragon Emperor instructors from Emperor Shi Academy. Her divine dragon blood essence had already reached the 8th level of the Dragon Emperor level. She wasn't far away from becoming a super divine dragon. Of course, it wasn't that easy to break through, but she had already seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Existences of this level weren't usually seen in Dragon Force Academy. No one knew where they cultivated and where they got their cultivation resources. In any case, the experience points of Dragon Force Academy weren't enough to satisfy them. Chapter 4392. Hee hee. A skinny middle-aged Dragon Emperor tutor laughed in disdain. Many people say that before entering. Unfortunately, there are not many who can withstand more than a few moves from void demons. I hope you won't wet your pants. This person was the Northern Desolate Dragon Academy's Dragon Emperor tutor. Although they did not care much about the Dragon Academy's matters, they were still rather proud of their respective academies. Therefore, they would attack other Dragon Academy students whenever they had the chance. Liang Zhao and the other 4 were rather indignant at this tutor's words. This Dragon Emperor tutor might be from another academy, but wasn't it too much to attack the students like this? Liang Zhao and Ran Ran were naturally confident in themselves. They did not speak. After all, with their status, they could not refute a dragon emperor tutor, even if he was from another academy. The 5 of them entered the protective barrier hand in hand and waited for the trial to begin. After they entered, the tutors outside began to make arrangements. Not long after, the weakest void demon, which was a first-year rebirth tribulation demonic soldier, was sent into the protective barrier. Everyone became interested. Even the Yuheng district and Migres district students who were recuperating looked towards the protective barrier. Some of the stronger students were still very interested in the battle. Although they could not be bothered to speak at other times, they would still pay attention when the battle was about to begin. After all, every demonic soldier had different methods, different strengths, and different combat styles. They needed to observe more battles to gain more combat experience. If they only relied on their own trials, the number and variety of void demons they had seen were too few. It was completely insufficient for them to understand the void demons. That's a void demon, the weakest demonic soldier. Liang Xiao and the other 4 stared at the demonic soldier that was locked inside the protective barrier. It was a black creature with 6 limbs and was hundreds of meters long. Before the 5 of them transformed into dragons, this demonic soldier could be said to be as huge as a skyscraper. Dragon transformation. As soon as Liang Xiao said that, the 5 of them transformed into their respective divine dragon forms. As they transformed into dragons, the chains around the inferior devil soldier exploded. The captured inferior devil soldier was finally released. What followed next was the most primitive slaughter. Without any hesitation, the inferior demon soldier flew towards Liang Xiao. Black chi erupted from its body, condensing into rolling black clouds that turned into a pitch-black storm. The demonic soldier's forte seemed to be speed. This burst of speed left Liang Xiao and the other 4 practically unable to react. The first move. The 4 Dragon Emperor instructors outside the arena began to count, and their expressions became serious. In the arena, the 5 students reacted as fast as they could against the inferior demon soldier's sneak attack. After all, they were elites of the Dragon Martial Academy, and their battle strength and talent were considered top-notch among all the dragon martial artists. It was impossible for them to be defeated so easily. Get into formation, defend. Their mission was to defend. Therefore, they had no intention of attacking the inferior demon soldier. When the demon soldier attacked, Liang Xiao immediately followed his original plan and took out his dragon weapon, turning it into a blood-red talent power to block the 5 of them. Liang Xiao was the inferior demon soldier's target. Once Liang Xiao was killed, the 5 of them would fail the challenge. As long as Liang Xiao could withstand this move, they would be considered to have withstood the inferior demon soldier's attack. So fast. Almost at the same time that Liang Xiao's dragon weapon turned into a blood-red barrier in front of him, the inferior demon soldier's attack had already arrived. The pitch-black storm instantly swept over, completely shattering Liang Xiao's blood-red barrier. So powerful. The impact of the opponent's attack was completely beyond what Liang Xiao could defend against. His defense was almost shattered upon contact. But at this moment, the other 4 arrived to help. Among them, other than Ran, the other 3 girls each used their defensive dragon skills, forming 3 layers of defense in front of Liang Xiao. In addition to using their defensive dragon skills, they also used their respective dragon weapons. This was to prevent accidents from happening, so they used their full strength from the start. At the same time, Ran also released her heavenly sacred halberd. At the same time, her pitch-black dragon body swept forward, directly blocking in front of Liang Xiao. Her physical defense was much stronger than Liang Xiao's. Once the defense was broken, it was clear that she was more suitable to block. After all, she had just cultivated the chaotic dragon body. This move came from Kang Shinmu's powerful body-tempering dragon martial technique. Bang bang bang. 3 consecutive explosions came from in front of Ran. The defensive dragon martial technique that the other 3 students had condensed was actually broken by the opponent in an instant. The black storm violently rolled over and landed on Ran's black dragon body with a loud bang. The opponent was too fast, so fast that they could only casually use their defensive dragon skills and did not have time to condense them to their strongest state. At this moment, Ran was hit by the opponent head-on and was sucked into the black storm. The people outside could not help but boo. This is too weak. Is this the level of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy? Didn't that Ran defect from Donghuang Yangwu College? No wonder Donghuang Yangwu College doesn't want her. This combat strength is too weak, right? This team is too weak. The inferior demon soldier is also known for its speed. It's normal that they can't block it, the crowd discussed. However, the 4 Dragon Emperor mentors did not say anything, nor did they send help. This was because they could already feel that Ran's life was not in danger. Although the inferior demon soldier was fast, because of this, it sacrificed a certain amount of attack power. Although its attack looked fierce, its actual destructive power was not as strong as imagined. Liang Xiao and the other 3 girls' defensive means had already offset at least half of the impact of the opponent's attack. The remaining half of the attack power blasted onto Ran, but it could not kill Ran at all. Immediately after, the heavily injured slender black dragon flew out of the storm and crashed onto the edge of the protective barrier. It was as if the whole place shook. Weak, too weak. But it's already good that she's not dead. Many dragon martial artists sneered. However, they did not expect that after Ran was seriously injured, the dark dragon filth technique in her body would circulate wildly. The dark dragon filth technique, which had long been cultivated to the heaven grade, was a high-level source dragon martial technique. Her serious injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Before the inferior demon soldier could react, Liang Xiao and the other 3 had already set up a second defense. As for Ran, she flew back to the battlefield after a short while. She had completely recovered from her injuries. This scene caused many people in the surroundings to stare with their eyes wide open. Chapter 4393. After Ran cultivated the chaotic dragon body, her defense was greatly enhanced. Of course, the defense of Liang Xiao and the other 3 could not go unnoticed. Without their defense to weaken the attack of the inferior demon soldier, Ran would not have been able to block the opponent's attack. Of course, the main reason why they dared to challenge the opponent was because of Ran. If even Ran could not block the attack, then no one in the Alcade zone could block the attack of the inferior demon soldier. Now, someone could challenge the level of blocking 5 attacks from the inferior demon soldier. It was reasonable that Ran could block 1 attack from the inferior demon soldier. Let's continue. Ran recovered from her injuries. Her body glowed with a black light, shocking everyone around her. Seeing Ran's recovery speed, the skinny middle-aged man from the Northern Wilderness Dragon Martial Academy, one of the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors, turned gloomy. The origin dragon martial technique of every Dragon Martial Academy was an extremely precious resource. The reason why it could only be exchanged with a sufficient amount of experience points was to prevent it from being leaked to the outside world. If it could be obtained easily, it would be easy for it to be leaked to the outside world. Now that there was a limit of a large amount of experience points for sparring, it reduced the possibility of it being leaked to the outside world while training the students. In particular, the high-grade origin dragon martial technique was a secret exclusive to the Dragon Martial Academy. For example, the Dark Dragon Inferiority Art was a powerful high-grade origin Dragon Martial Academy technique. Although the skinny middle-aged teacher from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy couldn't be sure if Ran had cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Controlling Art, it was very likely that she had. Furthermore, she had cultivated it to the peak, the Dark Dragon Filth Controlling Art of Heaven. How did this girl learn it? And it seemed like she had been cultivating it for a long time. Wasn't this girl a student of Donghuang Yangwu College? Then she became a student of Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. But it seems like she knows our Dragon Martial Academy's Dark Dragon Inferiority Art. What the hell is going on? The skinny middle-aged instructor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy had a slight change in expression, and he found it hard to believe. He had never encountered such a thing in the 100 years since he joined the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. No matter what, he had to continue watching. After all, Ran had recovered through special means and could still continue fighting. He would wait for her to fight to the last moment, and then he would see what the situation was like. The inferior demon soldier's first move could be said to be a probing attack. This kind of species that was active on the battlefield all year round definitely had a very strong battle intelligence. Even when facing 5 very weak dragon warriors, it did not have the slightest bit of carelessness, but carefully probed first. But the next attack wasn't so easy to block. Of course, Liang Xiao and the others weren't prepared for it the first time. If the other party continued to attack, they would be able to prepare their defensive dragon martial skills a little more. In fact, due to the short amount of time just now, some of them did not even have the chance to use their origin source level defensive dragon martial skills. The difference between the grades of the defensive dragon martial techniques was huge. When they were all prepared, their defensive strength would at least double. The inferior demon soldier was also very clear about this, so it had no intention of delaying. After its first attack failed, it immediately launched a second attack. The attack was as fast as the wind, bringing with it a pitch-black storm that swept over. This time, Liang Xiao and the others were still too late. The main reason was that the inferior demon soldier was originally a speed type. Now that it launched a fierce attack, Liang Xiao and the others were completely caught off guard. Although the inferior demon soldier's attack was a little weak, it still posed a fatal threat to Liang Xiao and the others. "Be careful!" Liang Xiao shouted, and all the strength in his body exploded in an instant. The 9 Heavens Emperor Dragon Blood Explosion technique erupted in an instant. This could be considered as him exploding his trump card. This origin source dragon martial skill was compatible with his innate ability, and it could display the strongest power. The 9 Heavens Emperor Dragon Blood Explosion technique caused the entire area to turn blood red, forming a blood-red curtain that counterattacked the inferior demon soldier. It was actually using offense as defense. The inferior demon soldier's attack was originally fierce, but after encountering this layer of blood-red curtain, the blood-red curtain directly exploded. The terrifying destructive power directly reduced the inferior demon soldier's attack by at least 30%. Following that, the other 3 female students joined forces and each released their origin source dragon martial skills. Although they were unable to release their strongest combat strength in a hurry, they had already used their origin source dragon martial skills. This time, the 3 girls joined forces and attacked together. 3 different types of talents, the power of nirvana, blasted into the pitch-black storm. The pitch-black color of the storm once again exploded in all directions, weakened by more than 30%. As for the remaining 40%, Halberd of Sky Saint, defend. Ran was already familiar with the use of the Halberd of Sky Saint. At this time, she used the power of the Halberd of Sky Saint to defend herself. Together with her own talent, the power of nirvana, they formed a black membrane on her divine dragon body. Her innate talent was originally a pitch-black destructive power. This was a pure destructive power, the black jade extreme breaking power. Even though it had transformed into the nirvana power, it was still an enhancement in the aspect of destruction. Now that it was used for defense, the effect was not very good, but she could still use her own black jade extreme breaker power to destroy the opponent's attack power, thereby reducing the damage she suffered. Of course, the effect was not very good. The Black Jade Extreme Breaker Dragon was a type of destructive dragon with extremely terrifying destructive power. Unfortunately, because she cultivated the Dark Dragon Inferiority technique, Ran was developing in the same direction as Kang Shinmu. This was something that could not be helped. She had already cultivated the Dark Dragon Inferiority technique to the peak of the Heaven grade. It would be a waste if she did not make good use of it. Of course, under the circumstances of ensuring her own survival, she would increase the destructive power of her attacks. When she truly mastered the technique, she would be almost invincible. Although Kang Shinmu was strong now, it was still very difficult for him to win against an opponent who was on par with him. The reason was that the offensive power of the devouring power was not strong. His offensive dragon martial technique was also not very good. At this moment, in the battlefield, Ran's strength burst out, and together with the power of the halberd of Sky Saint, she crushed a small part of the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. At most, the remaining 20% of the storm's power landed on her slender black dragon body. The terrifying explosion of power once again sent her divine dragon body flying back. She crashed heavily into the surrounding protective barrier, causing the entire battlefield to tremble. Chapter 4394. The speed at which she recovered from her injuries shocked many people outside. However, before she could fully recover from her injuries, the inferior demon soldier launched another attack at her. This time, Liang Xiao and the other three could not react at all. The speed of the inferior demon soldier was too fast. Although the power of this move was relatively small, the inferior demon soldier attacked at such a high speed to catch people off guard. It did not matter even if the power was weaker. The inferior demon soldier attacked Ran directly. It probably felt that Ran was its biggest opponent, so it wanted to get rid of Ran first before dealing with the other four. Unfortunately, Ran was already prepared for its sudden attack. When the demon soldier launched a sneak attack at Ran, a tornado suddenly appeared around Ran's divine dragon body. Destruction of the wind tornado. When the tempest tornado appeared, Ran's divine dragon body glided to the side. As for the inferior demon soldier, the tempest tornado strike was a force that completely obstructed its advance. A violent tornado swept up the inferior demon soldier and sent it flying into the distance. Even though the inferior demon soldier was strong, its body was affected for a moment. The pitch-black tornado wrapped around its body slowed down by half a beat. Ran's divine dragon body glided dangerously close to the pitch-black tornado and flew far away. The tornado was then completely crushed by the pitch-black tornado. 3 moves. In almost an instant, the inferior demon soldier had already attacked 3 times. However, none of the 3 moves had any effect on Ran. This situation made the surrounding students and instructors, who had planned to mock Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, speechless for a moment. Ran's strength was already extremely strong to be able to withstand the 3 attacks of the inferior demon soldier so easily. The students of the other academies in the Alcade Zone had to work together in order to block the attacks of the inferior demon soldier. Even if it was a team of 6 or 7 people, it was impossible to rely on a single person to do this. Of course, those teams with 6 or 7 people would be easier to fight with more people, but the final score would be lower. With the same challenge score, everyone would receive much less experience points. Therefore, a 5-man team was the most standard and also the team with the most members. Who wouldn't rely on their team's strength to deal with the inferior demon soldiers? But now, it was as if Ran was fighting against the inferior demon soldiers all by herself. Of course, she was completely dodging, but the fact that she still had some strength to spare while dodging was very shocking. Wind Death Tornado Break. She had now cultivated to the Earth realm and was not considered to be too strong. However, the key was that her innate ability, the power of the Black Jade Extreme Break, had too much destructive power. She could even destroy a part of the pitch-black storm at the level of a low-rank demon soldier. This was something that no one else could do. Then, the inferior demon soldier seemed to be completely enraged. It didn't care about Liang Xiao and the others at all and charged towards where Ran was. It's erupting. The inferior demon soldier was surrounded by pitch-black demonic aura. The density of the demonic aura was more than double that of before. Such a powerful aura made Ran immediately prepare herself. The demon soldier turned into a ball of black aura and suddenly charged towards Ran. Its figure seemed to shatter the void. Ran reacted immediately. Wind Death Tornado Break. A tornado exploded in all directions and directly met the black aura that the inferior demon soldier had turned into. The explosive power surged in the field. At the same time, Ran's entire divine dragon body was affected. The back half of her dragon body was almost completely engulfed by the power of the pitch-black demonic aura. Divine dragon blood splattered. The inferior demon soldier was too fast. Even if Ran dodged as fast as she could, she still couldn't completely avoid it. Half of her divine dragon body was engulfed and she was instantly severely injured. No matter how fast Ran recovered, she wouldn't be able to withstand the next attack of the inferior demon soldier. But just as the inferior demon soldier launched its next attack towards Ran, wanting to kill Ran in an instant, Liang Xiao and the others stood up. They had prepared for so long and used their strongest defensive methods. As the inferior demon soldier had used its fastest speed to kill Ran in an instant, its attack wasn't too strong. This time, Liang Xiao and the other three's powers condensed into a thick protective barrier. The four divine dragons came to Ran's side, surrounding her in the middle. The protective barrier trembled as it was bombarded by the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. Layer by layer, it shattered explosively. But in the end, a layer of blood-red protective barrier completely blocked the inferior demon soldier's attack. Violent blood of the 9 heavens, Dragon Emperor Divine Defense. Liang Zhao's strongest defensive method blocked the inferior demon soldier's final attack and saved Ran. At the same time, it blocked the inferior demon soldier's 5th attack. They had just arrived and directly reached the highest record of the Alcade district students. Liang Xiao and the others were very excited, but they still wanted to break through. If they could withstand the 7th attack of the inferior demon soldier, then they could obtain the highest reward of the Alcade district students. Unfortunately, the inferior demon soldier didn't give them any chance. Immediately after, another black storm came crashing down, shattering his remaining weak defense into pieces. They had just used their defensive dragon skill and were far from being able to use the next move. At this moment, if they were to face the attack of the inferior demon soldier head-on, only death awaited them. They could even be killed by 4 at once. They weren't like Ran who cultivated the chaotic dragon body. Although it was only the human-level chaotic dragon body, the effect was still quite significant. Ordinary dragon martial artists who did not have time to use their defensive dragon skill would likely be seriously injured even if they faced an opponent with a lower cultivation. Not to mention that the inferior demon soldier was much stronger than Liang Xiao and the others. We forfeit. Liang Xiao instantly judged the situation. His pair of divine dragon pupils constricted and cold sweat broke out all over his body. When a student forfeited, Dragon Emperor Tutor immediately appeared to save them. A layer of snow-white protective barrier appeared in front of Liang Xiao and blocked the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. 5 attacks. Not bad. Keep it up. A white-robed Dragon Emperor Tutor didn't even transform into his divine dragon form. With just this state, he blocked the inferior demon soldier's attack and the white barrier didn't budge. This showed the strength of this Dragon Emperor Tutor. Chapter 4395. Ran and the others had directly blocked the 5th move of the inferior demon soldier. This result was not bad. Even if they did not break through later on, this result would be equivalent to 3 years of experience points for them. It was a huge profit. It was a pity that the experience points could only be given out at the end of the training. Otherwise, they could have used these experience points to quickly improve within a month and break through to a higher level before challenging again. That way, they would be able to obtain even higher rewards. However, I can still improve. Cultivating the primal chaos dragon body to the earth grade or even the dragon grade is not too difficult. It just requires sufficient natural treasures and enough pain. I can endure the pain. But heaven and earth treasures are a little more difficult. When Ran came down heavily injured, she secretly shook her head. She was too embarrassed to borrow experience points from others. The key was that she needed too many experience points. If she were to cultivate a body-refining dragon martial skill to the dragon level, then she would need enough experience points to exchange for a few dragon-level dragon weapons, or even a heaven-level dragon weapon. How was she supposed to borrow it? Liang Xiao and the other three were willing to lend it to her, but they didn't have many experience points. Even if they lent it to her, it wouldn't be enough. We only have these experience points. It should be enough for your primal chaos dragon body to reach the earth grade, right? Liang Xiao quickly ran up and said to Ran Ran. Yes, I will return it to you as soon as possible. Ran Ran didn't refuse. She just said that she would return it to them. Liang Xiao shook his head and chuckled, Miss Ran Ran, you don't have to be so courteous. When your strength improves, we can challenge this low-rank demon soldier again. Even if we can withstand one more move, the rewards we will receive will be much more than these experience points. So, Miss Ran Ran, just do your best. These points will be our initial investment. What Ran Ran said was true, so she didn't mention returning their experience points. She only needed to be responsible for breaking through the Chaos Dragon body to a higher level, and then block more attacks from the inferior demon soldiers. Unfortunately, these experience points were only enough to upgrade the Chaos Dragon body to the Earth level. Now that Kang Shinmu had just broken through, it would be difficult for him to help her. She knew it very well. They walked to the entrance of the barrier and planned to leave. Your name is Ran Ran, right? At this moment, an indifferent voice entered their ears. Aren't you going to explain why your recovery speed is so fast? Did you steal our Northern Desolate Region's Dragon Martial Academy's high-grade origin dragon martial technique, the Dark Dragon Imperial Filth Art? This voice came from one of the 4 Dragon Emperor mentors, the skinny middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. He stared at Ran Ran with an ugly expression, as if he wanted to see through her. No. Ran Ran had already expected this scene. From the beginning, she did not reveal that she had cultivated some dragon martial skill. As for the Dark Dragon Filth Control, if she didn't admit it herself, who could be sure? Even if it was confirmed, there was no evidence to prove that she had cultivated. No. You're lying. The face of the middle-aged man from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy darkened. Be honest. If this matter is discovered, you will be held responsible. If the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's high-grade origin dragon martial technique is stolen, you can imagine the consequences. Scram. At this moment, the beautiful mentor in the red dress from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy walked forward and pushed the skinny middle-aged man away. She said with a disgusted expression, she already said that she didn't cultivate your bullshit dragon martial technique. Are you still trying to threaten her? Let me tell you, before you threaten her, you'd better ask if my fist agrees or not. When she said this, everyone was dumbfounded. This mentor from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was too overbearing. Many students from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy were relieved when they saw this. When students from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy were being bullied, the Dragon Emperor mentor from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy stood up. Regardless of whether Ran Ran cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Art or not. Before you can produce evidence, you can't touch anyone from our academy. The skinny middle-aged man's expression changed, and he looked uncomfortable. If they were to fight, he really wouldn't be a match for this beautiful mentor in the red dress from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. This woman was too strong. Humph, you better not let me find any evidence. The skinny middle-aged man could only say this viciously before turning to leave. Ran Ran, and of course, the 4 of you have performed well. I will personally give you some experience points as a reward. I hope you can improve yourselves as soon as possible so that you can challenge again within a month and break through. When the beautiful Dragon Emperor saw the skinny middle-aged man leave, she didn't say much. Instead, she turned around and said to Ran Ran and the other 4. Personal reward? Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the rest were instantly dumbfounded. How could this be? They were already worried about the experience points. they didn't expect the beautiful mentor to directly give them rewards. Ran Ran had lost her memory and was rather naive. She couldn't understand. On the other hand, the corner of Liang Zhao's mouth curled up, revealing a look of understanding. It was obvious that this was not a personal reward from the beautiful instructor. Instead, it was a reward from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. The purpose of this reward was to make them stronger so that they could break the record and become the strongest 5-man team in the Arcade Zone among the 4 academies. This was a competition between the 4 academies. On the surface, the academies couldn't openly open the back door for them to improve. However, they were the 5-man team with the best performance in the Arcade Zone. Even if they couldn't get the academy to do it, they could get the mentors behind them to do it in private. Anyway, outsiders wouldn't know where the experience points came from. Of course, this kind of treatment was only available to the top teams. For example, in the Arcade Zone, you could only enjoy such resources if you reached a certain level. Ran Ran's team almost broke the Arcade Zone's record. How could the beautiful mentor not help them? As long as they put in a little more effort, Ran Ran's team would be number 1 in the Arcade Zone. This was almost the unspoken rule of the 4 Dragon Martial Academies. The other 3 Dragon Martial Academies had long since targeted the teams with potential in their academies, promoting and nurturing them. However, Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy had yet to give out such a reward of experience points. Ran Ran's team was still the first team. With these experience points as rewards, Ran Ran was confident that she could reach the upper limit of the Arcade Zone's rewards. Wasn't it just blocking the inferior demon soldier's attack 7 times? No matter how many times you attack, Ran Ran will not retreat even half a step. Chapter 4396. Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others retreated. Let's go back and cultivate first. We'll come back in half a month. Ran Ran said to Kang Shinmu. Well, you've worked hard. Kang Shinmu nodded. He roughly knew something now. If Ran Ran and the others came again in half a month, everyone would have improved greatly. At that time, they would definitely be able to break through today's record. The next person to challenge was Kang Shinmu. However, Kang Shinmu didn't plan to go on stage directly. He planned to observe for a few days. After all, he planned to clear the stage in one go and kill a middle-rank devil spirit that was equivalent to the 6th level of the rebirth realm. This was extremely difficult. The other Yuheng district students didn't even dare to think about it. However, Kang Shinmu had some confidence in this. At least he could withstand the opponent's attack. It all depended on whether Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white could kill the opponent. Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had been cultivated to the peak of the heaven stage. This not only made him more resistant to beatings, but the most important thing was that his divine dragon body could withstand stronger power. In the past, he could only devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 3rd level of the rebirth realm. However, when he broke through to the 6th level of the Nirvana realm, he could devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 4th level of the rebirth realm and use it for his own. Now that his chaotic dragon body had broken through to the strongest stage, he could completely devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 5th level of the rebirth realm. Although there was still a gap between him and the middle-rank devil spirit, he didn't necessarily need to devour it completely. Even if he only devoured half, it would be very easy for him to use the other half to block the opponent's attack. Of course, devouring the opponent's power consumed a lot of Kang Shinmu's power. Moreover, he couldn't devour the opponent's life essence now, so he couldn't quickly recover his strength. He could only rely on the Dark Dragon mastery of filth. Ran Ran and the others directly rushed to the record. I didn't expect that. I wonder how far we can go. The white-dressed girl sighed with emotion. She glanced at Kang Shinmu, and it was very clear that she had some admiration for Kang Shinmu. In this training, she could completely rely on Kang Shinmu. Of course, her own strength was not weak, and could be considered top-notch among the students of Yuheng District. Otherwise, Kang Xinmu wouldn't have chosen to be with her and Xiao Yuhua. Right now, the strongest students in the Yuheng district are a team of 4. In the end, they defeated a low-rank devil spirit. They are at the 3rd level of the Samsara Tribulation realm. This is already very strong. Xiao Yuhua had arrived a few days earlier than Kang Xinmu and had obtained this information. She told Kang Xinmu, they are from Donghuang Yanggu College. Among them, there is a person called Chu Qingyun who is the strongest. He is the main force of the 4. Chu Qingyun? When Kang Xinmu heard this, he had a strange look on his face. This Chu Qingyun, when he fought with him who had yet to leave Donghuang Yanggu College, had already lost completely. It could be said that his combat strength was relatively weak in the Yuheng district. But now, this Chu Qingyun actually became the main force of the Yuheng district. He even created a challenge record for the students of the Yuheng district and killed a low-rank devil spirit. This situation was completely beyond Kang Xinmu's expectations. Could it be that this Chu Qingyun has licked Zhuo Xiaofeng's boots? He got Zhuo Xiaofeng to provide him with some cultivation resources? Kang Xinmu could only think of this. This made him feel a little ridiculous. This Chu Qingyun's talent was only so-so. Compared to geniuses like Yu Tianshang and Qin Tianzi, if he wanted to keep up with these geniuses' cultivation speed, he would have to provide at least 3 or even 5 times the cultivation resources. If he didn't have the resources, this guy's cultivation speed would never be able to catch up to Yu Tianshang and Qin Tianzi, let alone Kang Xinmu. That's right, Kang Xinmu felt that his cultivation speed definitely surpassed Yu Tianshang and Qin Tianzi. So, even if Chu Qingyun had enough cultivation resources for him, his growth in a short period of time would definitely not be as fast as Kang Xinmu. In the past, Kang Xinmu could abuse him. Now, Kang Xinmu could abuse him even more. Moreover, it was impossible for this Chu Qingyun to maintain a huge amount of cultivation resources. Kang Xinmu. At this moment, there was suddenly an arrogant voice coming from the side. It was a few students from Donghuang Yanggu College. One of them was Chu Qingyun, whom Xiao Yuhua had just mentioned. This person was dressed in green, and his face was filled with pride. When he looked at Kang Xinmu again, he suddenly smiled proudly. Kang Xinmu, I didn't expect you to really join Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Moreover, you even dared to come to this place to train. You are really thick-skinned. In terms of thick-skinned, I can't compare to you. Kang Xinmu replied indifferently. And his words seemed to directly poke at Chu Qingyun's sore spot. Chu Qingyun's face darkened. What nonsense are you talking about? The current me is no longer an existence that you can imagine. If I have the chance to fight with you again, only death awaits you. In response to his words, Kang Xinmu didn't even look at him. Because Chu Qingyun wasn't qualified. He still wanted to fight with Kang Xinmu again. At that time, if it wasn't for Zhuo Xiaofeng secretly strengthening Chu Qingyun, he wouldn't be a match for Kang Xinmu at all. Kang Xinmu would be able to kill him in 2 moves. At this time, he only dared to be so arrogant because he licked Zhuo Xiaofeng's boots and obtained some cultivation resources. It was a pity that in Kang Xinmu's eyes, Chu Qingyun was still trash. Kang Xinmu's attitude of ignoring Chu Qingyun made Chu Qingyun even angrier. The 3 dragon martial artists behind him, 1 man and 2 women, were also staring angrily at Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu, it's fine that you defected from Donghuang Yanggu College. Now that you see senior brother Chu Qingyun, you don't even have the slightest bit of etiquette. You are really an ingrate who doesn't know what's good for you. These 3 people were probably the type that didn't know anything. Zhuo Xiaofeng's rumors in Donghuang Yanggu College were definitely saying that Kang Xinmu had defected from Donghuang Yanggu College. Therefore, it was normal for these students to hate Kang Xinmu. Although Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, and even mentor Chu Yueqiang knew that Kang Xinmu had been targeted by Zhuo Xiaofeng and was forced to leave, they couldn't publicize it. Wouldn't that be going against Zhuo Xiaofeng? That would be purely courting death. Therefore, only those who were familiar with Kang Xinmu knew why Kang Xinmu wanted to leave Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu couldn't be bothered to speak to the man and two women who didn't know the truth at all. An ominous glint flashed in Kang Xinmu's eyes as he looked at the void. Only when he had the strength to suppress Zhou Xiaofeng, or when he could rely on it, would he reveal everything to the public. Kang Xinmu. How about we make a bet? I, Chu Qingyun, led a team and killed an inferior devil spirit. Moreover, it was at the third level of the samsara realm. I want to see to what extent you, Kang Xinmu, can achieve. Chapter 4397. What do you want to bet? Kang Xinmu was quite interested in this. After all, he was lacking experience points and cultivation resources. It was rare for someone to come to him, so of course he was happy. And the other party was Chu Qingyun. Kang Xinmu was happy to see this guy suffer. Bet. You really dare to bet? Chu Qingyun was shocked by Kang Xinmu, but then he laughed out loud. The students of the Yuheng district had basically not broken through to the samsara realm, including Chu Qingyun. And if they had not broken through to the rebirth realm, the gap between them and the inferior devil spirits was huge. Even if 3 or 4 people joined forces, it would be extremely difficult to defeat a devil spirit. The students in Yuheng district basically dealt with the middle-level devil soldiers. Although the cultivation of the middle-level devil soldiers was higher, the quality of the divine dragon blood was lower than that of the Dragon King, so it would be easier to defeat them. But even the middle-level devil soldiers were not easy to deal with. Chu Qingyun had led a team to kill the strongest inferior devil spirit. He felt that he was already the strongest student in the Yuheng district. If he was stronger, then he wouldn't be a student of the Yuheng district, but a student of the Migres district with the word heaven in it. He felt that no matter how powerful Kang Xinmu was, it was impossible for him to grow from a Yuheng district student to a Migres district student in just a few months. Why wouldn't I dare to bet? Kang Xinmu said indifferently. On the other hand, can you take out anything that interests me? If you can't, I won't bother to bet with you. I see you've already given that rubbish dragon weapon you used to use to your little woman. Chu Qingyun glanced at Ran Ran, who was leaving, and said arrogantly, it seems that you don't have a suitable dragon weapon. I, Chu Qingyun, will be merciful and let you have a look. This heaven-level dragon weapon is what I, Chu Qingyun, have left. Great Desolate Demon Sword. Great Desolate Demon Sword, heaven-level dragon weapon. It was indeed the dragon weapon that Chu Qingyun had used before. However, this dragon weapon was not weak. On the contrary, it was very strong. It was just that he could not integrate it with the Great Wilderness Demon's sweeping sword. Therefore, he would not take it out to use. As for the reason, when Kang Xinmu saw Chu Qingyun take out the Great Desolate Devil sweeping sword, he immediately understood. The Great Wilderness Demon Exterminating Sword was a demon-slaying weapon that possessed a righteous aura. This Chu Qingyun's heart wasn't in the right place. Naturally, he couldn't merge with the Great Wilderness Demon sweeping sword. He couldn't even use half of the Great Wilderness Demon sweeping sword's power. I can use this heaven-class dragon weapon. However, I'm not sure if my devouring power is compatible with the Great Desolation Demon sword. If the Great Wilderness Demon rinsing sword thinks that the devouring power is an evil power, I won't be able to use the Great Wilderness Demon rinsing sword, forget it. Even if I can't use it, I can convert the Great Wilderness Demon rinsing sword into experience points. I won't lose anything. Kang Xinmu knew that he had made a huge profit. Even though he had the power in the Beast Abyss, he could only get a heaven-class dragon weapon when he was lucky. If he was as lucky as he was in the ancient Netherworld Sea Road, he wouldn't be able to get a heaven-class dragon weapon even if he worked hard for half a year. Even if he converted it into experience points, he would still gain a lot. Alright, I'll use the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant as the wager. After Kang Xinmu said this, he took out the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant and showed it to Chu Qingyun. It was also a heaven-class dragon weapon. Chu Qingyun's face darkened. How long have you been in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy? You actually exchanged it for a heaven-class dragon weapon? He felt that he had miscalculated. Logically, it would be difficult for a student like Kang Shinmu, who had defected from Dongwang Yangwu College, to be accepted by other dragon martial academies, not to mention being put in an important position. But now, it seemed that Kang Shinmu was living a good life in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. If Kang Shinmu had a heaven-class dragon weapon, then with Kang Shinmu's growth speed, it was very likely that he could kill a lower-ranked devil spirit. Chu Qingyun pondered and immediately snorted. Alright, use the heaven-class dragon weapon as the wager. If you can't surpass me and kill a middle-ranked devil spirit, then you lose. His way of saying this was different from before. Previously, he was betting with Kang Shinmu to see if Kang Shinmu could kill a lower-ranked devil spirit at the third level of the Samsara realm. But now, the condition had changed to surpassing him and killing a middle-ranked devil spirit. The surrounding people felt that Chu Qingyun was a bit of a dog. Wasn't he changing his tune too quickly? However, Kang Shinmu didn't care. Even Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white didn't think that there was much of a problem. Because Kang Shinmu had already told them that their target was a middle-ranked devil spirit or a superior devil soldier. However, the number of superior devil soldiers was relatively small, so they usually challenged a middle-ranked devil spirit. To be able to kill a middle-ranked devil spirit, Kang Shinmu had full confidence. Even if it was the strongest reincarnation tribulation realm at the 6th level, that kind of middle-ranked devil spirit was Kang Shinmu's target. And this was the upper limit for Yuheng District students to get all the experience points. It had to be said that Kang Shinmu wanted to directly rush to the upper limit, which was naturally not what Chu Qingyun could think of. He combined the strength of Kang Shinmu when he left Dongwang Yangwu College and then speculated according to his current strength. He always felt that Kang Shinmu could at most deal with a lower-ranked devil spirit like him. One had to know that he had a huge amount of cultivation resources. For Zhuo Xiaofeng, the cultivation resources provided to Chu Qingyun were nothing at all. Therefore, during this period of time, Chu Qingyun felt that his progress was the fastest. He had definitely reached the strength level of a Migres district student. He only needed to wait for this year's school competition to officially enter the Migres district. The grade of his divine dragon blood essence had already reached the 8th level of the Dragon King. Why was it so fast? Because he had been arranged by Zhuo Xiaofeng to be in a secret core area. The dragon mark energy in that place was comparable to the core Tianshu district. That area was Zhuo Xiaofeng's own cultivation place, but bringing Chu Qingyun in would not affect Zhuo Xiaofeng's own cultivation. Therefore, Chu Qingyun got such an opportunity. Because in the last battle with Kang Shinmu, Zhuo Xiaofeng felt that it was not that Chu Qingyun was not good enough, but that the resources given to him by the academy were not good enough. Therefore, Zhuo Xiaofeng probably wanted to let everyone see that the current cultivation resource allocation system was not suitable. Of course, outsiders did not know what he was thinking. In any case, Chu Qingyun was now being cultivated, and he had made a bet with Kang Shinmu. This scene might have been secretly instructed by Zhuo Xiaofeng. When the void monster appeared, Zhuo Xiaofeng had already arranged it. Dragon Mark Blood Pendant. Great Desolate Demon Sword. A bet of 2 heaven-grade dragon weapons. Although all the Dragon Warrior students in the Yuheng district basically had a heaven-level dragon weapon, this level of item was a treasure to the students in the Yuheng district. It was one of their strongest battle powers, and they had to spend a lot of effort to exchange for it. This time, the bet between Kang Shinmu and Chu Qingyun was actually a heaven-grade dragon weapon. Chapter 4398. The bet was set, but Kang Shinmu didn't plan to challenge it directly. He planned to observe for a while first. After all, he had just arrived and didn't understand the strength of the demonic spirit-level void monsters. It would be inappropriate to rashly go on stage. Chu Qingyun naturally mocked Kang Shinmu fiercely. Even the surrounding people looked down on him. Being so cautious was a sign that he didn't have confidence in himself. One had to know that many dragon warriors would directly go on stage. For example, Ran's team. In any case, their strength was there, and the strength of the void monsters they encountered was also random. Some excelled in speed, some excelled in strength. It wasn't like one would be able to adapt to fighting void monsters just by watching. No matter what, if Kang Shinmu didn't go on stage, Chu Qingyun couldn't do anything to him. He couldn't force Kang Shinmu to go on stage, he could only mock from the side. Unfortunately, this mockery didn't hurt Kang Shinmu at all. As for the three students that followed Chu Qingyun, they were also chattering non-stop beside Chu Qingyun, chattering away to Jiang Shenwu. About an hour later, Kang Shinmu glanced at them and lightly said, "If I had as much free time as you guys, I would go back and absorb some dragon mark energy. It would be better than talking nonsense here." These words caused Chu Qingyun and the others to turn ashen. What was talking nonsense? These words were mocking them for not working hard in their cultivation. But they really had no way to refute Kang Shinmu's words. To dragon warriors, time was very precious. If they had the time to talk nonsense here, they might as well go back to the academy and absorb some dragon mark energy. Chu Qingyun could only say darkly, "If it wasn't for you, Kang Shinmu, coming here, we would have gone back long ago. So, hurry up and challenge the monsters so we can go back and cultivate faster." "Strange, what does it have to do with me whether you go back or not?" Kang Shinmu looked at him strangely. "I don't care what you're using this time for. Your legs are yours, do you think I care whether you go back or not?" As these words were spoken, Chu Qingyun was nearly angered to death. He simply stopped talking and stared at Kang Shinmu with a cold smile. He thought that once Kang Shinmu went up, he would be able to obtain the dragon scar blood pendant from Kang Shinmu. About this time, finally, a dragon warrior student stepped forward to challenge the void demon. This dragon warrior student was alone and did not form a team. That meant that he was definitely a powerful student from the area that started with the word heaven. This person was wearing a dark green robe. He looked calm and steady, as if he had a card up his sleeve. It is Wu Machin, Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy, Fecta Region's senior brother. His divine dragon blood essence seems to be the Boulder Fate Dragon, right? The last time I came to challenge, I killed a low-rank fiend general. Boulder Fate Dragon? Hearing the discussions of the surrounding people, Kang Shinmu's interest was piqued. His fate with the Boulder Fate Dragon was not small. Unfortunately, this Wu Machin did not know that Kang Shinmu had already met him twice, and both times were in the Beast Abyss. Wu Machin went up and bowed to the Dragon Emperor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. However, he did not have any reaction to the other three teachers. After all, he was a student from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. Moreover, this Wu Machin had been repeatedly cheated in the Beast Abyss, so he did not have any good impression of the other three Dragon Martial Academies. "Wu Machin, you killed a low-rank fiend general last time, but you have not reached the upper limit of the rewards for Fecta Region students." The skinny Dragon Emperor smiled and said, "This time, do you have the confidence to kill a middle-rank fiend general?" Wu Machin's strength was at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, but he had the blood essence of a divine dragon at the Dragon Monarch level. Therefore, when he killed a lower-rank devil general, even the strongest lower-rank devil general at the third level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, he was only challenging an opponent 2 levels above him. This time, he planned to cross 3 or even 4 levels to challenge a middle-rank fiend general. Fecta Region students were not allowed to form teams to challenge void monsters, so Wu Machin could only do it alone. Being able to cross realms to defeat a void monster was already a very difficult thing. However, as an elite of the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy, he could naturally do it. "Not bad, let's start with a 4th-level fiend general." Wu Machin nodded solemnly, got up and flew into the protective barrier. He did not say a word and directly planned to challenge. However, he had experience and was already prepared for this challenge. He was different from Kang Shinmu. However, to be able to challenge higher-level monsters in such a short period of time, this Wu Machin must have obtained a lot of cultivation resources after the previous challenge. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. He was thinking, should I do the same? The bet with Chu Qingyun was only limited to killing middle-rank fiend spirits, which was a 4th-level rebirth realm fiend spirit. As for the Yuheng region that he was in, the upper limit of rewards was opened up to 6th-level rebirth realm fiend spirits. In other words, as long as he killed a 4th-level fiend spirit, he could stop first. Would Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy give him some experience points as a reward and nurture him, allowing him to reach a higher level? Right now, Kang Shinmu was not very sure if he could kill a 6th-level fiend spirit. Therefore, there was no need for him to take the risk. Instead, he was worried that once he killed a 6th-level fiend spirit and reached the upper limit of the reward points, would Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy still reward him? This was a very big problem. This reward could not be ignored. Just looking at the experience points that Ran had obtained, it was enough for her to cultivate her chaotic dragon body to the dragon grade. It could even allow her to increase her cultivation by 1 more realm. The richness of this reward was extremely impressive. If Kang Shinmu obtained it, he might be able to exchange it for a heaven-grade dragon weapon to use in battle. The Dragon Scar Blood Pendant strengthened his talent. It did not have any strong offensive or defensive means. However, he could choose another heaven-grade dragon weapon to use in battle. Of course, Chu Qingyun's Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword was a heaven-grade dragon weapon for battle. However, Kang Shinmu did not know if his devouring power could be compatible with the Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword. Therefore, he had to be prepared that he could not use it. If it was not possible, he would have to change to another heaven-grade dragon weapon. Wu Machin went up. Everyone outside watched Wu Machin go up. When a middle-rank fiend general was brought in front of him, everyone was a little shocked. Although it was not the first time for some people to see it, the 6-limbed giant body of the middle-rank fiend general was like a dark cloud that covered the sky. It still made everyone feel as though they were suppressed. Even with a protective barrier, the aura of a middle-rank fiend general still made many students outside unable to breathe. So strong. Can Wu Machin really defeat a middle-rank fiend general? Chapter 4399. Wu Machin had Dragon Emperor, level Divine Dragon Blood Essence and was at the 1st level of the rebirth state. His Dragon Emperor Blood Essence was at the 2nd level, which was equivalent to Dragon Emperor Yan's level. However, compared to Dragon Emperor Yan, he was weaker in terms of cultivation level. After all, he was still too young. Even if he had enough cultivation resources, it would be difficult for his cultivation level to increase rapidly while absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy. It was already pretty good for him to reach the 1st level of the rebirth state. Most importantly, Dragon Emperor, level Inheritance Blood Essence was extremely rare. To the students of the Dragon Martial Academy, was it better to go out and earn experience points to increase their cultivation level, or to stay in the academy and absorb the Dragon Mark's energy? This was a dilemma. Many people felt that the most important thing was to raise the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Therefore, there were quite a number of Dragon Martial Artist students who had joined the Dragon Martial Academy for dozens of years, but they only had Dragon King level Inheritance Blood Essence. Furthermore, their cultivation levels were not very high, and they could not afford to exchange for the Origin Dragon Martial technique. They only wanted to reach the level of Dragon Emperor one day. That way, they could start improving in other areas. Unfortunately, if they were real geniuses, they could easily earn experience points in between absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy instead of working behind closed doors. However, if they were students with mediocre talent, it would not be easy for them to forcefully increase the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence. They would usually need to spend 10, 20, or even 30 years to break through to the level of Dragon Emperor before cultivating other things. Kang Shinmu was not like that. Furthermore, none of the students that Kang Shinmu knew were like that. strength was the most important after all. If they chose to focus on increasing the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, they would be very weak before they truly broke through to the level of Dragon Emperor. They would not even be able to enter the Kaiyang district and could only stay in the Alcade district. Furthermore, the increase in cultivation level would increase the speed of absorbing the dragon mark's energy. Therefore, it was best to use both hands. Without a doubt, the Rocky Destiny Dragon and Wu Machin had been promoted together. They were elites of the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's Fecta region and had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for at least 10 to 20 years. Generally speaking, it was impossible to see the Dragon Emperor, who was only at the first stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm, in the outside world. Any Dragon Emperor would at least be at the 7th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. This was because the advancement of the Divine Dragon's blood essence was too slow in the outside world. Dragon martial artists would have to work hard for at least a few decades, and at the same time, they would be training in the outside world. How could they be like the students of the Dragon Martial Academy and not raise their cultivation realm? Therefore, when they reached the advanced stage of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, they would naturally accumulate enough Dragon Mark energy to reach the level of the Dragon Emperor's Divine Dragon blood essence. Generally speaking, there were still some ways for the powerhouses of the outside world to obtain treasures of heaven and earth that contained the energy of the Dragon Mark. As long as one's talent was sufficient, the grade of the Divine Dragon's blood essence could still reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. At this moment, Wu Machin had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon. It was the Boulder Fate Dragon that Kang Shinmu was familiar with. That incomparably thick divine dragon body carried an incomparably steady and vast aura as it swept towards the tyrannical middle-rank demon general. All kinds of source dragon martial techniques were unleashed one after another. That middle-rank demon general was also very strong. Demonic chi surged all over his body, filling the entire place with demonic chi and exploding within the protective barrier. Wu Machin, who had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon, seemed to be able to deal with this middle-rank demon general with ease. Even though the entire place was filled with pitch-black demonic chi, it did not affect him at all. On the contrary, many spectators from the Dragon Martial Academy in the Alcade district were stunned by the aura of the demonic chi. Of course, Kang Shinmu would not be intimidated by his opponent. To be honest, such a battle was still a distance away from the level of the Dragon Emperor. Of course, this was not an existence that the current Kang Shinmu could deal with. A middle-rank demon general is indeed very strong. The current me is still not a match for a demon general. Even a low-rank demon general has exceeded the limit of my devouring power. I can at most deal with a middle-rank demon spirit. That is already my limit. Right now, Kang Shinmu was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Logically speaking, with this cultivation realm, ordinary students could only stay obediently in the Alcade district. After all, Kang Shinmu's divine dragon blood was only at the 6th level of the Dragon King. However, his battle prowess could indeed reach the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. He was about the same as Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, or even stronger than them. If it was Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, with their strength, even if they were to fight against the 2nd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, they would still be able to contend against the 2nd level of the Dragon King. After all, the gap between them was too great. Otherwise, they would be able to defeat an opponent who was 3 levels above them. As for Kang Shinmu, he was amazing. He could defeat an opponent who was 1 level above him. He was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and he could fight against a 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Of course, this was under the situation where the divine dragon blood was of the same grade and they were all Dragon King. This was not only because of the devouring power, but also because when he broke through to the 5th and 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he had condensed the Nirvana power, allowing the devouring power to reach the standard of the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Moreover, his dragon-marked blood pendant allowed his devouring power to possess the characteristics of the rebirth power in advance, which was to devour power for his own use. Otherwise, Kang Shinmu would never consider dealing with a middle-rank devil spirit even if he was beaten to death. All these circumstances combined allowed Kang Shinmu to possess his current strength, which was not something that anyone could do. To be honest, it was already quite good that Chu Qingyun could lead a team to kill a lower-rank devil spirit at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm from a noob. After all, Chu Qingyun was only at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. For students at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm joined forces and killed a void devil that was 3 levels above them. This result was already very good, and only the students of the Dragon Martial Academy could do it. If it was a dragon martial artist from the outside world, they could forget about it. They wouldn't even have the possibility of injuring a 3rd level Rebirth Tribulation realm opponent. As everyone watched, Wu Machin fought with great difficulty. She unleashed several powerful dragon martial skills and finally heavily injured the middle-rank devil general. Even after the middle-rank devil general was heavily injured, Wu Machin had to use several powerful dragon martial skills to finally kill the middle-rank devil general. These void devils had extremely strong vitality. They were different from the dragon martial artists that Kang Shinmu had seen before. Chapter 4400. Kang Shinmu squinted his eyes. Currently, the dragon warriors did not cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. It seemed very reasonable, but in reality, it seemed that they were all somewhat weak. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, a strong physical body was true strength. Of course, everyone had their own understanding. In any case, Kang Shinmu felt that the body-refining dragon martial technique was much stronger than the defensive dragon martial technique. After all, after cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique, the physical body would forever become stronger. As for the defensive dragon martial technique, it could only have a defensive effect after it was actively used. Once it was sneak attacked, or if the opponent's speed was too fast, there would be no defensive effect at all. For example, when Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others were fighting against the void demonic creature, once the void demonic creature was too fast, Liang Xiao and the others couldn't even use their defensive dragon martial skills, and all of them were in danger. If not for Ran helping them block it, they would not have been able to withstand 5 moves from the lower-ranked devil soldier. It was also because of this that none of the other teams in the Alcade district cultivated the body-refining dragon martial technique. This also caused the other teams in the Alcade district to find it difficult to reach this level. Usually, when they joined hands to use the defensive dragon martial technique and use the defensive barrier to block the lower-ranked devil soldier's attack, they would not be able to withstand 2 or 3 moves. The experience points this time can be exchanged for a high-level body-refining dragon martial technique. Kang Shinmu was looking forward to it. After Wu Machin killed the middle-rank devil general, Kang Shinmu went to observe 2 more battles. They were the battles between the students of the Migres district and the Yuheng district. In the Migres zone, there was a dragon monarch expert at the 1st level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. However, he was slightly weaker than Wu Machin. He even failed to challenge a lower-ranked devil general at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm and almost died at the hands of that lower-ranked devil general. This Dragon Emperor student's cultivation of the dragon martial technique was not very good. It was possible that he was the kind of person who managed to break through to the Dragon Emperor with great difficulty with his divine dragon blood essence. Therefore, his combat strength was slightly weaker than Wu Machin. Looks like that Wu Machin is quite strong. Kang Shinmu thought. He had imitated the aura of the Boulder Fate Dragon from the start, but he didn't feel much of it back then. Now, it seemed that Wu Machin wasn't weak. No wonder she dared to go to a place like the Beast Abyss alone. However, they were only students from the Fekta zone. Above them were the Merak and Dubhe districts, which had a total of 10 students. The 4 Dragon Martial Academies had a total of 40 students, and they were all stronger than Wu Machin. No matter how strong Wu Machin was, she would only be ranked outside the top 40. When I was watching the academy competition, I found that the core students of the Heaven Center district were already as strong as Dragon Emperor Yen, or even stronger than Dragon Emperor Yen. But compared to Mentor Dragon Emperor, there's still a certain gap. It seems that those who can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor Blood Essence will become Dragon Emperor's mentor, and not stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as a student. And Dragon Emperor's mentor doesn't seem to have a time limit. As long as they can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor Blood Essence, they can stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as long as they want. Kang Shinmu thought. On the other hand, the Yuheng district sent a team of 5 people to challenge. This was the largest team that the Yuheng district students could form. A team like this would definitely be stronger than a 3-man or 4-man team. However, if they succeeded in the challenge, the experience points they would receive would be much less than what they had received in the previous challenge. Putting everything else aside, with the same challenge results, the experience points each member of the 3-man team would receive were almost twice as much as the experience points each member of the 5-man team would receive. Therefore, teams of 5 people from the Yuheng district were rather rare. This team of 5 came from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy. The Dragon Martial artists of the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy seemed to be the weakest among the 4 Dragon Martial Academies. Therefore, it was normal for them to form a team of 5. These 5 people were all at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. As for the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they were all between the 4th and 6th level of the Dragon King. It seemed that they focused more on actual combat ability. The 5 of them seemed to have a clear division of labor. There were Earth Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on defense, Fire Attribute and Thunder Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on offense, and Wind Attribute and Light Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on support. It could be said that their lineup was very strong. Their first target was the weakest inferior Devil Soldier. An inferior Devil Soldier at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm was a very strong opponent for the students of the Yuheng district. They could only withstand a few moves from it. However, to the students of the Yuheng district, this level was used for practice. In terms of cultivation level, the inferior Devil Soldier was only 1 level stronger than them. Although they had broken through to the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, the key was that the inferior Devil Soldier was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon. And these students of the Yuheng district were all Dragon King. This 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy fought seamlessly. 1 person defended, 2 focused on offense, and the other 2 supported from the side. They cooperated extremely well. That Wind Attribute Divine Dragon had abilities similar to Ran. Of course, it only had the ability to break through the Wind Death Dragon Tornado that she cultivated. It could control the power of the Wind Attribute and control the entire battlefield. It could slow down the opponent, speed up the teammate, and so on. It could also obstruct and interfere when the inferior Devil Soldier wanted to attack. It was extremely effective. As for that Light Attribute Divine Dragon, it seemed to cultivate a defensive Dragon Martial technique. At the same time, there was a portion of the Dragon Martial technique that had the ability to heal other Dragon Martial artists. However, this Divine Dragon's healing Dragon Martial technique did not seem to be very effective. In any case, it was completely incomparable to Kang Shinmu's devouring power and the Dark Dragon Art of Filth Mastery. Of course, in such a 5-man team, it was already very good to have such a teammate who could do their own job. The 5 of them were not thought highly of at the beginning. After all, they were a team of 5. If they were so cowardly, it could be seen that each of them was relatively weak, but soon, everyone realized that they were completely wrong. This 5-man team's battle prowess was actually extremely strong when they joined forces. They killed 3 low-level Devil Soldiers along the way and then began to challenge the middle-level Devil Soldiers. Even when facing the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 4th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, they did not show the slightest bit of fear. They maintained their own battle rhythm. Although they were caught off guard by the middle-level Devil Soldier at the beginning and suffered some injuries, they quickly adjusted and completely trapped the middle-level Devil Soldier. They constantly suffered violent attacks and were defeated in almost an hour, completely beaten into a pile of mush. Next was to deal with the middle-level Devil Soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. After all, devil soldiers were only equivalent to dragon martial artists at the sacred dragon level. It was still somewhat difficult to face the 5-man team from the Yuheng district at the level of Dragon King. Even the middle-level devil soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm was dragged to death by this 5-man team. Next was the middle-level devil soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Chapter 4401. If this 5-man team could defeat the 6th-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Devil Soldier, it meant that they could challenge the 2nd-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Devil Spirit. And the 6th-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Devil Soldier finally caused some trouble for this 5-man team. This Devil Soldier was very fast and had an extremely strong concealment ability. It could hide and completely conceal its aura. From the start of the battle, this 5-man team had fallen into an extremely passive situation. Fortunately, this 5-man team stood back to back and everyone maintained a defensive dragon martial technique at all times. At the same time, the wind attribute dragon martial artist played a crucial role. He constantly used some kind of dragon source martial technique to investigate the surroundings. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he actually found traces of the devil soldier. When she discovered the traces of the middle-level demon soldier, everyone immediately launched an attack in that direction. Not only did they use attack dragon martial techniques, but they also used 2 types of sealing dragon martial techniques that targeted that space. A terrifying power descended. The devil soldier did not even have time to react before it was discovered by the 5 of them and sealed in that space. Following that, a violent attack of the fire and lightning attribute descended. The middle-level fiend soldier still wanted to escape and hide, but these 2 abilities were useless in front of the well-coordinated 5-man team. Not long after, the devil soldier was killed by the 5 of them. At this time, many people were holding their breaths. They wanted to know how far this 5-man team could go. After all, they had not seen the Yuheng district team go so far in a long time. They were only 2 steps away from the record set by Chu Qingyin's team. These 2 steps were the 2nd and 3rd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Devil Spirits. According to the current situation, the previous battles had not caused much pressure to this 5-man team. They had only caused a little trouble. Therefore, many people were looking forward to it. If this 5-man team could defeat the 3rd level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Devil Spirit, then they would be on the same starting line as Chu Qingyin's team. Charge! The students of the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy were all very excited because the 5-man team could be said to be the strongest 5-man team in the Yuheng district that was hand-picked by the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy. Furthermore, they had excellent teamwork and usually went on training missions together. Now that they had cooperated to challenge the void demons, they were already used to it. They just needed to get used to it. They were already used to the 5-man team. It wasn't that they wanted to strengthen their combat power, but that the 5 of them usually walked together, and it was impossible for them to give up on any one of them. So, the 5 of them directly challenged together. Even if they got less in the end, as long as they challenged the limits of Yuheng district, then everyone would still get more than those 3-man teams. Therefore, their goal was the ultimate limit, which was the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Of course, they still couldn't achieve this goal now, but they could totally catch up to the current record first. This way, the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy would give them a certain amount of cultivation resources and support, allowing them to go further and fight to become the #1 academy in the Yuheng zone. Continue fighting. The leading Earth Attribute Defensive Divine Dragon said in a deep voice. Next, they faced the 2nd level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Inferior Devil Spirit. They finally faced the Devil Spirit, and this Devil Spirit's cultivation realm was 2 levels higher than theirs. Most importantly, one of them was the transformation of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, so the difficulty wasn't small. And such an inferior Devil Spirit was enough for the 5-man team to attach great importance to. But to Kang Shinmu, he could single-handedly finish off such an inferior devil spirit. Of course, the prerequisite was that the inferior devil spirit wasn't particularly good at defense. Otherwise, Kang Shinmu wouldn't be able to kill the other party with his own strength. He devoured the other party's strength and methods to counterattack. If the other party only knew how to defend, he really couldn't do anything. Anyway, with his current attack power, he couldn't kill an opponent of this level. This was why he formed a team with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. If Kang Shinmu's attacks were strong enough, he could challenge it alone. Of course, he could also try to challenge stronger void monsters now. With the help of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they would definitely be stronger than him alone. These two girls were not the kind of people who would drag him down. Instead, they were people who could erupt with terrifying power in battle and could be of help. In the arena, the 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy faced an inferior devil spirit with strong defense. They spent a lot of effort to finally kill this inferior devil spirit, and almost everyone was exhausted. They decided to rest for a while before continuing the battle. And this was also allowed by the rules. If the 5 of them wanted to fully recover their strength, they had to rest for at least 4 hours. Therefore, other students were allowed to challenge them during this period. Let's go. Kang Shinmu already had some understanding of the various abilities of the void monsters, so it was about time for him to go. If the 5-man team needed to rest for 4 hours, it would be enough for Kang Shinmu to challenge all the way to the intermediate devil spirit. And this would be enough for him to complete the bet and collect Chu Qingyun's great desolate demon vanquishing sword. When Kang Shinmu flew up to the arena with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white, the surrounding students from the Dragon Martial Academy all looked over. The tortoise finally dares to stick its head out of its shell. Chu Qingyun coldly sneered. Not too far away, he and his 3 teammates stared at Jiang Shenwu's back as if they were looking at a walking heaven-step dragon weapon. In his opinion, it was impossible for Kang Shinmu to kill a Rebirth Realm 4th-level devil spirit. The devil spirit was originally equivalent to the Dragon King's divine dragon's blood essence, and the 4th-level Rebirth Realm was 7 or 8 levels higher than Kang Shinmu, which was a major gap. This made almost no one believe that Kang Shinmu could defeat a 4th-level devil spirit. This was because even the 9th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King was already at his limit against the 2nd or 3rd stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Even if they formed a small team, it would only make it slightly easier for them, but it would not allow them to defeat stronger opponents. One had to know that the physical defense of the void monsters was very strong. If they encountered a void monster with strong defense, then let alone a team of 3 or 5, it would be useless even if more people of the same level came, because they would not be able to hurt that void monster at all. Chu Qingyun thought so, and so did the 3 teammates behind him. Chapter 4402. It's the Jiang Shenwu whose name has spread like wildfire. The 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy, who had just come down from the arena to rest, saw that someone couldn't wait to go up while they were resting. After all, their performance was not bad. Although they had more people than the other teams, to be able to fight to this extent was not something an ordinary team from Yuheng District could do. And at this moment, Jiang Shenwu, whose name had spread like wildfire, had brought 2 beautiful female students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy onto the stage. Moreover, he had made a bet with Chu Qingyun, saying that he would defeat a 4th-level Samsara Realm Devil Spirit. This goal made the 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy feel a little incredulous. They had just killed a 2nd-tier inferior Devil Spirit, and they already felt that it was extremely difficult. That was with 5 of them, and they barely managed to grind the tortoise-like inferior Devil Spirit to death. And now, Kang Shinmu was about to go up with 2 beauties, saying that he would defeat a 4th-tier intermediate devil spirit. Who would be optimistic about them? This Kang Shinmu is a talent. I heard that he defected from Donghuang Yangwu College because he got help from the top disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College, Yu Tianchang. Now that he's at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, he actually has 2 beauties behind him. He's quite lucky with women. This kid looks like he's only 15 or 16 years old, right? Don't think of him as a pervert, okay? Hee hee. What does a man's lust have to do with his age? Many people were discussing and pointing at Kang Shinmu and the other two. If Kang Shinmu heard this last sentence, he would definitely tell him very seriously that a man's lust had nothing to do with his age. Anyway, it wasn't that Kang Shinmu had no feelings for beauties, but he didn't have the mood to think about such matters between men and women. When he grew up in the future, he probably wouldn't focus on this. The most important thing for a dragon martial artist was destined to be strength. And the person who said this was probably addicted to beauty, and it was very likely that he couldn't extricate himself, placing beauty in a more important position than improving strength. What kind of person was what they were when they looked at others? Of course, Kang Shinmu was too lazy to care about what the people around him were saying. He went on stage to prove to Zhou Xiaofeng that after he left Donghuang Yangwu College, not only did he not stop improving, he improved even faster. He brought the two girls onto the stage and flew outside the barrier. Do your best. The dean has high hopes for the three of you. Mentor Dragon Emperor came up to Kang Shinmu and said with a smile, I've heard about the bet between you and Chu Qingyun. How about this? As long as you can win the great desolate demon sweeping sword from him, I will personally give you some rewards. You can have anything you want. Her words were very tempting. Looking at her proud and alluring figure, the thin dragon emperor from the northern desolate dragon martial academy could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Thank you, senior. Kang Shinmu said in a deep voice. He wasn't happy at all because this was what he wanted to achieve in the first place. Without a doubt, this was the reward that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Looking at how calm Kang Shinmu was, the beautiful Dragon Emperor was a little surprised. However, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she smiled and said to Kang Shinmu, then, you guys can go on stage. Remember to be careful. If you can't win, don't force yourself. Understood. Kang Shinmu nodded. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress also nodded. They definitely wouldn't force themselves. If Kang Shinmu couldn't win, they would definitely call for a forfeit immediately. After all, Kang Shinmu's defense was much stronger than theirs. If even Kang Shinmu couldn't win, then they definitely wouldn't go up and try. They teamed up with Kang Shinmu to kill the enemy. And what they were interested in was Kang Shinmu's strong defense, which was like a tortoise shell. As long as Kang Shinmu was around, they would feel a strong sense of security. They understood that as long as Kang Shinmu was still in front of them, they wouldn't be threatened. Unless, the opponent was much stronger than them. Now that they were challenging void demons, they would choose opponents that were within their capabilities. Of course, they wouldn't encounter opponents that were much stronger than them. The three of them went on stage. Demonic soldier, let's begin. Kang Shinmu said in a deep voice. Then, the three of them instantly transformed into dragon martial artists. Kang Shinmu's black dragon body took the lead, exuding a dark and terrifying suppressive aura as he appeared within the protective barrier. Xiao Yuhua transformed into a blood-red divine dragon, while the girl in the white dress transformed into a white divine dragon. All three of them were the inheritors of the Dragon King's blood essence that were more than 500 feet long. Their auras were rather powerful. Kang Shinmu, who had the lowest cultivation level, looked the most imposing. He directly stood in front of the two girls, waiting for his opponent to arrive. Xiao Yuhua was on the left, while the girl in the white dress was on the right. The two girls were accumulating their strength, ready to attack the moment an opponent appeared. First opponent, a demonic soldier at the first level of the rebirth tribulation realm. Kang Shinmu couldn't even be bothered to move. However, since he was going on stage, he definitely had to start from the weakest. He treated it as a warm-up exercise. Very quickly, a demonic soldier appeared in front of them and was placed within the protective barrier. This demonic soldier had just appeared and seemed to want to size up the strength of Kang Shinmu and company. However, what it did not expect was that Kang Shinmu had directly unleashed the extreme shadow flowing light's dragon martial skill and charged towards it at an extremely fast speed. The demonic soldier jumped in fright and immediately became incomparably ferocious. It had never met a little fellow at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm who was so bold as to attack it. Although it looked to be over 1,000 feet long and was 4 to 5 times smaller than the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into, it was a powerful existence at the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Immediately, the inferior demon soldier unleashed a burst of power towards Jiang Shenwu, who was attacking him. If it was an ordinary dragon martial artist, they would definitely stop and use a defensive dragon martial skill. However, Kang Shinmu was not an ordinary dragon martial artist. Facing the pitch-black storm that erupted from the demonic soldier's body, not only did Kang Shinmu not use any defensive dragon martial skill, he acted as if he had not seen anything. His black dragon body directly crashed into the violent pitch-black storm. Wow! Outside the arena, many people exclaimed in surprise. They rarely saw such a battle style. Was he going to fight a void demonic creature in close combat? Before they could stop their exclamations, a heaven-splitting ice slash followed. The power of Nirvana ice descended from the sky and transformed into a long saber, directly slicing the demonic soldier into pieces. Like a hot knife through butter. Chapter 4403. The scene of the heaven-splitting ice slash cutting through the lower-ranked demon soldiers shocked many people around them. Wasn't this too strong? He directly rushed up and finished it off in one move. Even if it was a Yuheng district student who defeated a demon soldier, there was no need to be so decisive, right? Generally speaking, Yuheng district students would be more cautious when they first went up. It was impossible for them to use their strongest moves right off the bat. Otherwise, how would they fight later on? But this time, Kang Shinmu did not seem to use any tricks. He just rushed over and used his divine dragon body to block the attack of the inferior demon soldier. Then, the white divine dragon behind him slashed out with the ice-splitting sky-splitting slash, completely killing the inferior demon soldier. The crowd cheered loudly, but they were not optimistic about Kang Shinmu's team. Next. Kang Shinmu was calm and expressionless. To him, the inferior demon soldier was too weak. Not to mention the inferior demon soldier, Kang Shinmu had killed many opponents at the level of the inferior demon spirit. Therefore, the inferior demon soldier and the intermediate demon soldier were just appetizers in his eyes. Immediately after, an inferior demon soldier at the 2nd level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm came up. This inferior demon soldier was definitely not weak and was even proficient in illusory techniques. As the boundless demonic aura enshrouded it, it tried to pull Kang Shinmu into an illusion. The pitch-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into swept forward, completely ignoring the other party's illusions. Although the black dragon's consciousness was temporarily in a state of slumber, it was still impossible for it to be affected by the illusions. Seeing this, the inferior demon soldier planned to attack Kang Shinmu, but then, ice-splitting sky-splitting slash. The terrifying cold ice blade swept across once again, slicing the inferior demon soldier into pieces. Next. Kang Shinmu was quite satisfied with the white-dressed girl's cooperation. This girl's strength was not ordinary and she was decisive. To deal with these inferior demon soldiers, they should be killed with one strike. The next one was a 3rd-tier reincarnation demon soldier. However, when he encountered Kang Shinmu's team, he was instantly killed by the frost blade. The 3 low-level demon soldiers all ended up like this. The low-level demon soldiers launched 3 attacks on Kang Shinmu, but none of them could break through Kang Shinmu's physical defenses. At this time, everyone knew that Kang Shinmu had cultivated a body-refining dragon-type martial skill. This caused them to look down on Jiang Shenwu. The defensive effect of a body-refining type dragon martial skill could not be compared to a defensive type dragon martial skill in the end. A defensive-type dragon martial skill of the same level would have a much stronger defensive ability than a body-refining-type dragon martial skill. Kang Shinmu had cultivated a powerful body-refining dragon martial technique, so it was impossible for him to cultivate a powerful defensive dragon martial technique. This was a common understanding, at least for young dragon martial artists. They did not have enough resources to cultivate a variety of dragon martial techniques. In any case, many people felt that Kang Shinmu's defense could only reach this level. If he encountered a stronger opponent, he would definitely not be able to withstand it. Next. Middle-level demon soldier. Such an opponent could be said to be a watershed. To ordinary Yuheng district teams, many would fall at the hands of a middle-level demon soldier. After all, the middle-level demon soldier was a powerful existence at the 4th to 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Although it was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon, the suppression of cultivation realm was enough to make an ordinary Yuheng district team suffer. Therefore, everyone watched the situation of Kang Shinmu's team with interest, wanting to see how they would deal with the middle-level demon soldier. It was a pity. Heaven-splitting ice slash. The white-dressed girl still exploded with a tyrannical dragon origin martial skill, sweeping towards the middle-level demon soldier that was constantly attacking Kang Shinmu. This time, the middle-level demon soldier's defense was stronger, and the heaven-splitting ice slash could not kill it. But immediately after, when Hua Buyu River Crimson erupted. Such a dragon origin martial skill erupted, and the entire field was filled with blood red. A terrifying power surged into the middle-level demon soldier's body, causing it to explode and die instantly. Against an opponent like a middle-level demon soldier, Kang Shinmu and the other two had long killed it together. During the Frost Dragon Emperor dynasty, they had killed a wandering dragon martial artist of similar strength. And now, all of their strength had increased. Jiang Shenwu had improved the most. As for the girl in the white dress and Xiao Yuhua, they had also improved by quite a bit. Among them, Xiao Yuhua had broken through to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, while the girl in the white dress had a more precise control over her strength. The same ice-rending heaven slash was able to accurately attack the opponent's vital points. Furthermore, her more refined control over her strength allowed her ice-rending heaven slash to erupt with even more destructive power. Both Shi and Xiao Yuhua's strength had increased by about 50%. At least at the middle-level demon soldier level, they could still keep up. The strength of their attacks was seen by many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. They couldn't help but sigh. The strength of these two girls' attacks was already comparable to some of the students in the Migras area. Although the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence was not as high as that of the dragon emperor, their strength was not weak. Compared to them, this Kang Shinmu seems to be just a bystander. With these two beauties assisting in the attack, even I can go on the field and directly reach the level of the devil spirit. That's right. This Kang Shinmu is purely a hooligan. Many students began to discuss in private. Until now, other than blocking the attacks of the demon soldiers, Kang Shinmu had not shown any means at all. This made the other dragon martial artists not think highly of Kang Shinmu. It seems that they have no problem dealing with the middle-level demon soldiers, but when they deal with the low-level devil spirit, the problem will begin to show. That's right. With the shortcoming of Kang Shinmu, it will be too difficult for these two girls to defeat the low-level devil spirit. This Kang Shinmu is actually leading the team. I wonder what kind of bewitching drug he used to bewitch these two beauties. Who knows? This Kang Shinmu has always seemed to be very popular with women. But today, he dared to bet with Chu Qingyun that he could deal with the middle-level devil spirit. What a joke. Everyone was discussing. In the battle just now, they could not see anything special about Kang Shinmu. After all, not everyone was familiar with Kang Shinmu's fighting style. A low-level demon soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. After being blocked by Kang Shinmu, the two girls were easily killed. A low-level demon soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm was an opponent with extremely strong attack power. The moment it appeared, it brought with it endless killing intent. However, its attacks bombarded Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body, but it was almost like an itch. It did not leave a single scar. Chapter 4404. After these 6 battles, everyone had a better understanding of the strength of Kang Shinmu's team. They originally thought that Kang Shinmu's methods were too weak, but their opinions changed slightly when they were dealing with the 6th reincarnation realm fiend soldier. After all, it was obviously a fiend soldier with strong offensive abilities. In the end, its all-out attack could not do anything to Kang Shinmu. Even when Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body flew in front of it, it could not break through Kang Shinmu's defense. These 6 battles were fought as smoothly as flowing water. In total, they took less than an hour. Many people couldn't help but sigh. These 3 people were really too strong. Although the 2 female dragon warriors had more eye-catching performances, without Kang Shinmu's defense in front of them, they could not kill their opponents so easily. Not only did Kang Shinmu resist the opponent's attack, but he also played a role in restraining them. After the opponent's fiend soldiers were restrained by Kang Shinmu, it was obviously much easier for the 2 girls to attack again. It was also difficult for the opponent to escape under Kang Shinmu's restraint. Everyone thought that these 6 battles were almost a performance and had no meaning. But only Kang Shinmu knew, he had devoured the demonic aura of many fiend soldiers in these 6 battles. The nature of this power was somewhat similar to the dark attribute, but it was not the same kind of power. It was not even a power of any attribute. It was a unique power. However, the devouring power did not disappoint Kang Shinmu. No matter what kind of power it was, it could always devour it and then strengthen Kang Shinmu's resistance to this power. Heaven Stage Chaos Dragon Body. In addition, Kang Shinmu had been devouring the fiend soldier's demonic aura for 6 consecutive battles. This made Kang Shinmu's resistance to the power of the fiend soldiers reach its peak. Even if it was a powerful fiend spirit that exceeded him by a major realm, he could still resist the opponent's attack. Kang Shinmu's black divine dragon looked darker than usual. This was because he had devoured the demonic aura and there was demonic aura wrapped around the surface of his divine dragon body. Next, low-rank fiend spirit. Kang Shinmu said in a deep voice. If not for devouring the power of the demonic aura, Kang Shinmu could not be bothered to fight the first 6 battles and would directly challenge the low-rank fiend spirit. But now, he had a higher chance of challenging the low-rank fiend spirit. In any case, Jiang Shenwu would not underestimate any opponent, even if it was just a low-rank demon spirit. No one knew what kind of tricks these void demons had up their sleeves. If he encountered a difficult opponent, it would be very uncomfortable. Therefore, now that Jiang Shenwu had devoured the demonic energy of 6 battles in a row, his resistance to demonic energy had reached its peak. Only then did he challenge the inferior demon spirit. This was much safer. When the low-rank fiend spirit appeared, all the dragon martial artists outside the arena focused their attention. Even some of the students who did not care and were focused on healing opened their eyes now, wanting to see how Kang Shinmu and the other 2 would deal with the low-rank fiend spirit. This is a low-rank fiend spirit at the 2nd level of the rebirth tribulation realm. When a 4,000 to 5,000 feet long void demonic creature appeared within the protective barrier, everyone was excited. This low-rank fiend spirit seems to be most proficient in defense. It's very durable. Not bad, it's the type with thick skin and flesh. This type of void demonic creature is the most difficult to deal with. At least, it's not easy for dragon martial artists of the same level to hurt it, many people started discussing. In the arena, the expressions of Kang Shinmu and the other 2 didn't change. For them, no matter what type of opponent it was, this low-rank fiend spirit at the 2nd level of the rebirth tribulation realm was easy to deal with. This low-rank fiend spirit was only 2 levels higher than the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua. Although it was a major realm higher, its strength was not to the extent that they could not deal with it. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Kang Shinmu directly used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. This was the first time he used an offensive dragon-type martial skill, or rather, the first time he used a dragon-type martial skill. However, the strength of his dragon-type martial skill looked very weak. Of course, with his powerful Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, if he were to use it on the Dragon Martial Continent, it would be enough to crush most dragon martial artists of the same level. However, everyone present was a student of the Dragon Martial Academy. To these dragon martial artists, a low-level Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was nothing. Almost everyone knew it, and even if they cultivated it to the heaven tier, its strength would not be that great. That was why Kang Shinmu was in such a situation now. Among the offensive dragon-type martial skills that he cultivated, this was the strongest move. However, in the eyes of the Dragon Martial Academy students of this level, it was nothing. Therefore, when they saw Kang Shinmu use the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break, the surrounding dragon martial artists were all mocking him. Wasn't this too weak? Any of the Yuheng District students present would not be weaker than Kang Shinmu in terms of attack power. With such a standard, he dared to say that he could kill a middle-level devil spirit and win the Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword from Chu Qingyun? That was a joke. However, Jiang Shenwu's attack was followed by Xiao Yuhua's and the white-dressed girl's attacks. Blood red and ice white, two different colors, brazenly shattered the surrounding pitch-black demonic aura, and then landed on the body of the second-level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm's inferior devil spirit. In the next moment, a terrifying power exploded on the body of the Void Devil. However, the demonic aura on the Void Devil's body was vast and mighty, forming an extremely powerful defensive barrier. The barrier stood in front of them, preventing their attacks from breaking through. It could even be said that it did not budge at all. It's over. It looks like they won't be able to win against this defense-type devil spirit. If this continues, it will be very difficult for the three of them to break the defense of the devil spirit. Many people's expressions changed slightly. Some were gloating, while others felt that it was a pity. For example, the 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy was also at the second tier of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. When they encountered a defense-type void demonic creature, they had to expend a lot of effort to wear it down. The combined attack power of the 5 of them would definitely surpass that of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress. As for Kang Shinmu, his attack power was nothing to the others. That Void Dragon Raising Heaven break was not even enough to tickle that inferior devil soul. The demonic aura barrier was like a natural moat in front of Kang Shinmu and the other two. Chapter 4405. Kang Shinmu did have such an ability. His devouring innate ability could help his own people recover their strength, life force, and even heal injuries. All he needed to do was to consume a few monster cores of monster beasts. This was nothing to him. He had killed many insects and demon beasts in the desert near the ancient Nethersea path and harvested many demon cores, which he kept. These demon cores were not valuable, so he kept them for his own use to recover his strength and heal injuries at critical moments. Now, it was the right time. When challenging void monsters, there was no rule that stated that one could not use medicinal pills or other enhancement items. After all, in a real battle with void monsters, it did not matter what method one used, as long as they could kill the void monsters, it did not matter. Therefore, Kang Shinmu's devouring of demon cores was not against the rules. Following that, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl joined forces and launched a barrage of attacks on the inferior devil spirit. Terrifying energy poured down in torrents. The defense of void demons is also divided into two types. One is the physical defense. Generally speaking, void demons' physical defense is not weak, but the body of the second type of lesser demon spirit is not so strong that we can't break it. The second type is the demonic chi defense barrier like this lesser demon spirit. This might be some kind of a martial technique that void demons cultivate, condensing demonic chi into a defensive barrier to block attacks against themselves. This is easier to deal with, much easier than those that purely rely on physical defense. Since it cultivates a defensive martial technique, then the physical defense of this lesser demon spirit can't be too strong. This is the same logic as us dragon warriors. In other words, as long as we break through this guy's defense barrier, we can easily kill him. Kang Shinmu could already see the result of this battle. The strength of this lesser demon spirit was about the same. As long as Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white attacked consecutively, it would be enough to break through the opponent's defense barrier. As for the energy consumed, there was no need to care. While Kang Shinmu was guarding against the sneak attack of the inferior devil spirit, he began to devour the demon cores in his body with his devouring power, transforming the power of these demon cores into pure heaven and earth spiritual qi, which was then swept into the divine dragon bodies of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. They had been fighting for so long and had consumed a lot of energy. However, as Kang Shinmu's devouring power entered their bodies, they felt their energy recovering at an unprecedented speed. This speed of recovery simply shocked them. Wasn't the effect a little too good? Kang Shinmu actually had such a special ability. Without worrying about their energy consumption, the two women's attacks suddenly became fiercer. The lesser demon spirit was not in a completely passive state of defense. Every time it tried to find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack, it was a pity that this lesser demon spirit was too cumbersome and not fast enough. Every time it launched an attack, it was directly blocked by Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body, unable to break through. The lesser demon spirit could see that Kang Shinmu's attack was not strong, but his defense was very strong. It wanted to kill Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, but Kang Shinmu stood in front of it, and it could not break through at all. Finally, after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the devil qi barrier outside the lesser demon spirit was shattered. Immediately afterward, even Kang Shinmu burst out with the void dragon sky-raising break. Although the attack was not too strong, it was better than nothing. Together with the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they attacked the lesser demon spirit together. Terrifying energy erupted in an instant, directly blasting the body of the lesser demon spirit, leaving a series of wounds. These injuries weren't too serious, but the next wave of attacks came. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl did not let up after gaining the upper hand. As if they had fallen into a frenzy, they kept attacking one after another. Under the situation where they did not consider energy consumption, the intensity of the attacks that they could erupt was simply shocking. Even some reincarnation tribulation realm existences could not squander their energy like they did. Under the horrified gazes of countless people, the two women's continuous attacks actually blasted the lesser devil spirit into pieces. This scene simply subverted everyone's imagination. The 5 students from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy all had their mouths wide open, simply unable to believe it. They should have lost their strength long ago when they attacked like this. Could it be that they took elixir pills? I'm afraid the only possibility is that they took recovery elixir pills. They discussed animatedly and secretly guessed, but no one could have guessed that this was actually Kang Shinmu's innate power method. Taking elixir pills, this is too wasteful. Recovery elixir pills were used to save lives in extreme situations outside, so they were very expensive. They contained a lot of heaven and earth spiritual energy, and could even be used to cultivate and raise one's cultivation realm. Therefore, it was really a waste to simply use it to restore strength, unless it was used to save lives. But now, they were just training against the lesser demon spirit, and they took the recovery elixir pills. If this wasn't a waste, what was? Although they killed that lesser demon spirit, the loss outweighed the gain. If they need to take elixir pills to restore strength to kill a lesser demon spirit, what are they going to do when they deal with a 4th-tier middle demon spirit? It's obvious that it's impossible for them to forcefully kill a middle demon spirit, even if they take elixir pills. That great desolate demon vanquishing sword isn't that easy to win. Everyone thought so in their hearts. But they had no idea that Kang Shinmu and the other 2 did not take elixir pills at all. The second-tier lesser demon spirit that the 5 students from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy spent a lot of time and almost all their strength was easily taken care of by them. Next. Kang Shinmu continued in a deep voice. Next, a lesser demon spirit at the 3rd tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. This was the strongest opponent that Chu Qingyun's team had killed. If Kang Shinmu and the other 2 could kill such an opponent, it meant that they were stronger than Chu Qingyun's team. After all, Chu Qingyun's team was a 4-man team, while Kang Shinmu's team was only a 3-man team, but no one thought that Kang Shinmu and the other 2 could defeat them. The most exciting battle is coming. Everyone watched with bated breath, wanting to see the battle clearly, not wanting to miss any details. There were also people in the crowd who knew Kang Shinmu. They always knew that Kang Shinmu was someone who could create miracles, so they were looking forward to the battle, hoping that Kang Shinmu could lead the 2 girls to defeat their opponents. In the current Dongwang Yangwu College, Chu Qingyun looked down on ordinary dragon martial artist students with Sua Xiaofeng. He would bully them from time to time, and the only thing he didn't do was collect protection fees from them. Therefore, there were still many people in Dongwang Yangwu College who secretly supported Kang Shinmu. If Chu Qingyun lost the great desolate demon vanquishing sword to Kang Shinmu, wouldn't that be great? It was simply satisfying. Chapter 4406. When the 500 feet long inferior devil's soul appeared, it exuded a dangerous aura. As soon as the pitch-black demonic aura appeared, it spread to the entire area, shrouding the entire protective barrier in a pitch-black color. "Get behind me," Kang Shinmu said to Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. Then, in the form of a pitch-black divine dragon, he guarded in front of them. He was constantly paying attention to the movements of the 3rd-tier inferior devil soul. This inferior devil soul was obviously a powerful attack-type devil soul. It exuded a dangerous aura from head to toe, even making people constantly have a sense of despair. Kang Shinmu knew that this was a kind of mental suppression effect. Unfortunately, it had no effect on him. "I'll attack first to attract its attention." Kang Shinmu couldn't let the 2 women attack first. Once they attacked first, it was likely that the inferior devil soul would target them. With the 2 women's defensive abilities, it was undoubtedly difficult to deal with such an inferior devil soul. Although it was not that they did not cultivate any defensive dragon martial techniques, they were still not like Jiang Shenwu, who could deal with any attack with ease. Once the opponent's speed was too fast, they might not be able to use their defensive dragon martial techniques in time. That would be tragic. Immediately afterward, Kang Shinmu launched an attack at the inferior devil soul. The void dragon roars the sky condensed 6 black dragon phantoms and bombarded the inferior devil soul with 6 black dragon breath beams. The inferior devil soul easily dodged 4 of the black dragon breaths. The remaining 2 dragon breath beams bombarded the body of the inferior devil soul, but they didn't cause any damage. Huh! The inferior devil soul didn't expect Kang Shinmu's attack to be so weak, which made it a little puzzled. But just when it was puzzled, Kang Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body had already flown over, making it clear that he wanted to fight it hand-to-hand. This situation enraged the lesser devil spirit. It had never seen a dragon martial artist fight hand-to-hand like this. Wasn't this courting death? The inferior demon spirit's pitch-black demonic aura burst out in an instant, condensing into a pitch-black saber light that slashed straight at Kang Shinmu's pitch-black dragon body. This scene caused many people in the surroundings to break out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun and the others who didn't like Kang Shinmu, they only sneered coldly. Kang Shinmu wanted to rely on the body-refining dragon-type martial technique to resist the full attack of the 3rd-tier inferior devil spirit. I'm afraid he is thinking too much. However, the next moment, everyone's expression stiffened. The pitch-black saber light from the lesser-rank demon spirit landed on Kang Shinmu's body, but it didn't cause any obvious damage to Kang Shinmu. Even the wound was so shallow that it couldn't be seen clearly if one didn't look carefully. What? Kang Shinmu's physical defense is so strong. Many people's faces changed drastically, including Chu Qingyun. He knew that Kang Shinmu's physical body was powerful, but he didn't expect that in such a short time, Kang Shinmu's physical body was more than twice as strong as before. It's probably 4 or 5 times stronger than when he first left Donghuang Yangwu College. Chu Qingyun was already prepared that Jiang Shinwu's defense would be twice as strong as before, or even 3 times stronger. But the strength of Jiang Shinwu's fleshly body still shocked him. This was even more terrifying than he imagined. Isn't this too exaggerated? He didn't use any defensive dragon-type martial technique to resist the attack of the inferior devil spirit's demonic technique, but soon, everyone's attention was attracted to the scene again. The inferior devil spirit found that its move didn't have any effect. It immediately roared, and the pitch-black demonic aura scattered all over the scene condensed at this moment, turning into dozens of pitch-black saber lights. Each of these dozens of saber lights was stronger than the single saber light just now. Just now, it was just the inferior devil spirit's test against Kang Shinmu. Now, it was time for the real attack. The entire field of saber lights completely ignored Xiao Yuhua and the young girl in the white dress, swiftly attacking Jiang Shinwu's location, nearly shattering the void around Jiang Shinwu. The vast and mighty demonic saber lights descended, landing on his body with a loud rumble. The opponent's attack was too fast. Kang Shinmu didn't even have the time to dodge and was hit by these demonic chi saber lights. One can imagine that if these saber lights were to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, it would be very difficult for them to resist. Of course, at the beginning of the battle, they had already prepared their defensive dragon-type martial technique. Once the opponent attacked them, they could directly release their defensive dragon-type martial technique without needing to gather their strength again. In a situation where they were prepared, it was impossible for the opponent to kill them instantly. Moreover, as long as they resisted for a moment, Kang Shinmu would turn around and help them defend. It could be said that the pressure they faced was very small. At this moment, all the demonic chi saber lights condensed and bombarded Kang Shinmu's body, almost shattering a large part of the void around Kang Shinmu. Everyone's eyes widened, wanting to see how Kang Shinmu was doing. At this moment, ice-splitting sky slash. Ask flowers but words fill the river red. These 2 terrifying origin source dragon martial techniques bloomed from the battlefield and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. The inferior devil spirit had just unleashed a move with all his strength and really didn't have time to use any defensive methods. The 2 attacks directly bombarded his body from the left and right. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. At this moment, he finally had the time to look back at Kang Shinmu, who was being attacked with all his might, and the scene that greeted his eyes left him dumbfounded. Kang Shinmu, who had withstood almost his full strength, seemed to be almost unharmed. That little 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Black Dragon seemed to be almost unharmed. There were dozens of saber marks all over his body, and even a lot of his dragon scales were shattered. However, he still couldn't seriously injure Kang Shinmu. Moreover, Kang Shinmu's injuries seemed to be rapidly recovering. What's going on? Before the inferior devil spirit could react, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl's attacks arrived again. This time, they changed their attack methods, but they were also powerful origin source dragon martial techniques. The power of ice and fire burst out separately. It was as if 2 different worlds had descended and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. Even though the inferior devil spirit's demonic body was tough, it was ultimately not as terrifying as Kang Shinmu's. Under the continuous attacks of the 2 girls, dark gray blood began to seep out of his body. Surrounded by demonic aura, the blood splashed towards the defensive barrier and stained the barrier. At this moment, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was like an iron fortress. As if he wasn't affected at all, he charged towards the inferior devil spirit's demonic body. Chapter 4407. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was simply too strong. Moreover, he had devoured the devil chi of the devil soldier in front of him, making his defense against the devil chi even more terrifying. Even if the attack of the inferior devil spirit in front of him was extremely strong, it was still unable to break through Kang Shinmu's physical defense. Is this the power of a body-refining dragon martial skill? A mere 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King is actually able to withstand the attack of a 3rd-level devil spirit. This Kang Shinmu is too terrifying. I take back what I said before. This guy might really be able to kill a 4th-level devil spirit. From the looks of it, Chu Qingyun is going to suffer a setback this time. Who would have thought that this Kang Shinmu would be so strong? No one had expected such a scene to occur. Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was like a steel fortress, blocking in front of him, not allowing his teammates behind him to suffer any harm. Even if he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he was more reliable than those dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm. What they didn't know was that Kang Shinmu had condensed the Nirvana Force twice. Although he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, his cultivation was actually at the 8th or even 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. If Kang Shinmu continued like this and cultivated to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he would be equivalent to the 14th or 15th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Although there was no such cultivation realm, Kang Shinmu's strength had reached this level in theory. From this, it could be seen how strong he would be after condensing the Nirvana Force. However, the Nirvana Tribulation Realm was still the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. There was still a huge difference between it and the Samsara Realm. Therefore, even if Kang Shinmu cultivated to the extreme in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he still couldn't compare to the dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm under the same conditions. These were two different concepts. Of course, none of the dragon martial artists that Kang Shinmu had met had the same conditions as him. Simply put, they were all too weak. When Kang Shinmu broke through to the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, his combat strength would take a huge leap. At that time, even Kang Shinmu himself was not sure how strong he would be. Attack directly. Kang Shinmu pressed the inferior demon spirit directly against the protective barrier. The black dragon's body constantly withstood the impact of the opponent's struggling demonic energy, and even the violent demonic energy saber light. However, these attacks could not hurt Kang Shinmu at all. He had forcefully used the physical strength of the divine dragon's body to firmly control the lesser devil spirit. The following matters were easy to handle. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady continued to launch attacks at the lesser devil soul. Two different attributes, ice and fire, swept towards the lesser devil soul. During this period, they did not consider whether they would accidentally hurt Kang Shinmu, because Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was too strong. Even if they attacked Kang Shinmu head-on, they would not be able to hurt him. Before coming here, Kang Shinmu had already considered this situation, so he let them each attack him for a period of time, allowing him to devour some ice and fire attributes. This way, he would also have a near-peak resistance to ice and fire attributes. Under such circumstances, there was no need to consider the possibility of accidental injuries. They could just attack directly. Anyway, Kang Shinmu would not die, only the lesser devil's soul would die. The lesser devil's soul also seemed to realize that something was wrong. If it kept attacking Kang Shinmu, it would not be able to hurt Kang Shinmu at all. But now, its entire body was clamped down. Compared to other void devils, it was relatively weaker, and it had already been heavily injured by the two women. Even if it attacked again, it would not be strong enough to kill Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. No matter what, it had to give it a try. It could not let its life be lost here in vain. So in the next moment, it finally thought through everything and began to gather demonic chi, attempting to use demonic techniques to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. What a pity! Kang Xinmu immediately sensed its intentions. When it began to gather demonic chi, he used his dragon claws to lock onto its demonic body and charged straight at the demonic chi saber light it gathered. The power it gathered was directly pressed against its demonic body by Kang Xinmu, causing the demonic chi saber light to explode. At the same time, the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady swept over. The powerful attacks that continued to erupt made the lesser devil's soul unable to withstand them at all. Finally, after enduring many attacks in succession, its injuries were so severe that it could not move. It was grabbed by Kang Xinmu in his dragon claws and beheaded alive. Such a ferocious scene of hand-to-hand combat caused the faces of all the dragon martial artists watching the battle to tremble. Even the few Dragon Emperor instructors were a little surprised. They did not expect Kang Xinmu to use such a fighting method. Wasn't this too ferocious? It was as if he did not care about his life. Moreover, Kang Xinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. How could he withstand the violent attacks of the lesser devil soul? Not only did he rely on his divine dragon body, he did not use any defensive dragon martial skills. Most importantly, he was not even injured. He was almost in perfect condition throughout the battle. This Kang Xinmu's strength was too terrifying. This Kang Xinmu has probably condensed the power of Nirvana. Finally, someone was able to see through this. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Kang Xinmu to forcefully fight against a lesser devil soul at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm with his little cultivation. However, it did not matter if they saw through this. Kang Xinmu had no intention of hiding this from others. At this moment, when the lesser devil's soul was completely killed, Kang Xinmu threw the pieces of the devil body down. Everyone around him let out a burst of cheers. It had to be said that such a battle had given all the dragon martial artists a new idea. The body-refining dragon martial skill seemed to be very, very strong. This Kang Xinmu's battle had already proved it. With such a terrifying defensive ability, he was simply invincible. Many dragon martial artists suddenly had the thought of cultivating the body-refining dragon martial skill. But after thinking about it carefully, they suddenly discovered that the body-refining dragon martial skill also required a lot of cultivation resources to cultivate. Not only did they need experience points to exchange for the dragon martial skill itself, but they also needed to exchange for a lot of cultivation resources and heavenly materials. It was not like other dragon martial skills, where one only needed to exchange for the dragon martial skill and cultivate it themselves. There was no need for resources to improve. Furthermore, it seemed like the more injuries one suffered, the faster one could cultivate the body-tempering dragon martial technique. This point also caused many people to give up on the idea of using it. Who had nothing better to do than to torture themselves. Even if they had the guts to torture themselves, they still needed experience points to exchange for recovery pills to recover from their injuries. This was another issue of experience points. Therefore, after careful analysis, many people discovered that ordinary people really could not cultivate this body-refining dragon martial skill. Many people looked at Kang Xinmu and felt some admiration. To be able to endure the pain of constant injuries to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial skill, no matter what, this perseverance was worthy of admiration. Below the stage, Chu Qingyun's face was already as black as charcoal. He never thought that Kang Xinmu could actually kill a lesser devil's soul at the 3rd level so easily. In this way, if the lesser devil's soul at the 4th level wasn't strong enough, it might really be killed by Kang Xinmu and the other two. Chapter 4408. As Kang Xinmu grabbed the inferior devil spirit in his dragon claws and let it be killed by the two girls, everyone's expressions changed. Such a battle record had already surpassed the level that Chu Qingyun's team could achieve. Although Chu Qingyun's team had also defeated a 3rd level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit, their team had 4 people while Kang Shinmu's team only had 3 people. This comparison was clearly different. Moreover, Kang Shinmu's battle had brought too much shock to many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. Dragon martial artists could actually fight like this. The body-refining dragon martial technique that no one had cultivated for a long time was actually so powerful. No one had expected that Kang Shinmu would use such a method. They were all shocked on the spot. Will he continue to challenge the next one? Isn't that obvious? It's too easy to deal with an inferior devil spirit. He will definitely have to deal with a 4th-level intermediate devil spirit. Just as many people below were discussing. When Kang Shinmu confirmed that the 3rd-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit was completely dead, he threw away its scattered corpse and said in a deep voice, "Next." A 4th-level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit. This was a powerful existence of another level. This level of void demonic creature wasn't too weak near the void crack. It was even at the level of a squad leader. If they could really kill such an intermediate devil spirit, then Kang Shinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed girl could already go to the void crack and hunt the weakest squads of demonic creatures. Of course, it was a little dangerous for them to go near the void crack with their strength, but it was still better than other Yuheng district students who didn't even have the qualifications to go to the void crack. This was because dragon martial artists who couldn't kill an intermediate devil spirit would be of no use going near the void crack. The most basic requirement for a demonic creature squad was to have an intermediate devil spirit squad leader. At the very least, they would act as a squad. Without this level, no matter what kind of void demonic creature they encountered, the only way out was to escape. The middle-rank devil spirit at the 4th level of the Samsara tribulation realm soon appeared in front of everyone. The deans of the 4 dragon martial academies, as well as the mentors of the Dragon Emperor, had captured quite a number of void demons of this level and imprisoned them for the students to train. That was why there were plenty of void aberrations at the demonic soul level in the training base. At the very least, it could support 20 to 30 student squads to challenge them for a day. If it really wasn't enough, the Dragon Emperor's instructors could also randomly grab some from the nearby void rift. To mentor Dragon Emperor, void monsters of this level weren't strong to begin with. It wouldn't be difficult for him to capture a team of void monsters alive. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes when the 4th reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit appeared. This middle-rank demon spirit seemed to be a powerful demon spirit that was good at attacking, and it had super fast speed. Her pitch-black body was slightly slender, and compared to other void aberrations, it was obvious that she had agility-type abilities. As soon as she appeared, she gave Kang Shinmu an incomparably tyrannical and dangerous aura. It was obvious that Mentor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of these void demons, would not care too much about the type of void demon that was released. In any case, no matter what kind of void demon it was fine as long as it was the cultivation level that the students were challenging. Comparatively speaking, this kind of void demon with strong attack and agility was a higher threat to the student squads. If it was a void demon with stronger defense, even if the student squads could not beat it, they could just give up and regroup before challenging it again. Moreover, if it was a real battle, the number of void demons with strong defense was relatively small, so the number of captives that were captured was not high. If they encountered a defense-type void demon outside, there would not be much danger. They could just run away if they could not beat it, and right now, the reincarnation tribulation realm 4th level devil spirit that Kang Shinmu and the others were facing was not this type. Its 6 slender, pitch-black limbs were like 6 sharp knives in the darkness, emitting an endless terrifying and dangerous aura. Come. When the devil spirit appeared, Kang Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body suddenly rushed over. As if provoking it, he sneered and suddenly burst out with an attack of the void dragon sky-raising break. His attack came very suddenly. Almost as soon as the devil spirit appeared, he burst out with a powerful attack, giving the devil spirit no time to react. However, even if it was just based on instinct, Kang Shinmu's attack could not do anything to this devil spirit at all. When Kang Shinmu made his move, the devil spirit let out a chilling cutting sound. Its 6 blade-like pitch-black limbs instantly cut through the void, causing it to be like a ghost in the night, directly disappearing from where it was. When it reappeared, it was already directly above Kang Shinmu. The 6 blade-like limbs instantly fell, accompanied by endless pitch-black devil chi, turning into 6 saber lights that broke through the void and slashed at Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. This attack was too fast. It was so fast that most of the Dragon Warrior students watching the battle outside could not even react. By the time they saw the devil spirit's actions clearly, Kang Shinmu had already suffered a direct and fierce attack. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Kang Shinmu wouldn't be killed in one move, right? In fact, the students who came here to train were most afraid of encountering such a situation. If they encountered a powerful and fast void monster, many would choose to give up because it was too dangerous. Yesterday, there were Dragon Warrior students who came here to train and were killed on the spot by a void monster. In such a situation, no matter how careful the Dragon Emperor's mentors were, it was impossible to completely avoid it. So when they saw that Kang Shinmu and the others had drawn such a powerful devil spirit to fight, they immediately broke out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun, with his strength, he could naturally see the devil spirit's movements clearly. He immediately sneered. No matter how strong his defense is, so what? If he can't keep up with his speed, he can only be a live target. And this devil spirit's continuous attacks can definitely shatter Kang Shinmu's tortoise shell. Many people were secretly gloating over his misfortune. Some people were also worried about Kang Shinmu. But soon, these people were all stunned. Because they discovered that after Kang Shinmu was attacked, not only did Kang Shinmu not seem to be injured, but a blood-red talent power burst out from all over his body. Or rather, the pitch-black talent power was wrapped in a layer of blood-red color. That was the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant. Just when everyone felt that Kang Shinmu was likely to be seriously injured by the devil spirit, Kang Shinmu's Nirvana devouring power, combined with the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant, directly began to devour the opponent's power. Chapter 4409. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was surrounded by pitch-black demonic energy. This power was the power that he had devoured, and it had the same effect as the devil skill that the other party had used. This devil chi surrounded him, allowing him to move at an extraordinary speed, and he also had extremely sharp senses. Moreover, this demonic energy could also turn into saber light and attack the other party. Kang Shinmu's devouring power was equivalent to completely replicating the other party's ability. It was as if he had secretly learned it and completely possessed the same ability as the other party. Of course, the amount of demonic energy that Kang Shinmu could use was relatively small. It was only the amount of the other party's attack that erupted. However, Kang Shinmu could rely on this power to keep up with the other party's speed, receive all the other party's subsequent attacks, and devour them all. Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had now been cultivated to the heaven stage. Moreover, he had broken through a cultivation realm. His Nirvana talent had become extremely powerful, and the backlash of devouring power that he could withstand had also suddenly increased. Originally, it would be a little difficult for him to devour the power of an opponent at the 3rd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. If he completely devoured the power of an expert at the 4th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm, the Dragon King, he would almost certainly be unable to withstand it and fall into a state of dizziness. But now, Kang Shinmu could completely devour the power of the middle-rank devil spirit in front of him. When the middle-rank devil spirit's attack was ineffective, it seemed to be a little puzzled. It had never encountered such a strange situation before. It was not that its attack was useless, and it was not that it did not touch Kang Shinmu, but it was as if Kang Shinmu had suddenly disappeared, and even it could not sense his existence. However, it clearly saw that Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was still surrounded by its power. What was going on? The middle-rank devil spirit could not understand, but it felt that it did not need to understand. No matter what strange methods Kang Shinmu had used, it was impossible to conceal the fact that Kang Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This cultivation realm was simply too low, and this devil spirit didn't take him seriously at all. Therefore, the middle-rank demon spirit once again launched an attack at Kang Shinmu. This time, the attack was even sharper and faster, as if the void was torn apart by countless pitch-black demonic auras. The demonic claws pierced through the void and swept toward Kang Shinmu, enveloping him. Countless demonic claws from the void, like death reapers from hell, instantly penetrated Jiang Shenwu's divine dragon body. Even with Kang Shinmu's physical defense, it seemed that he could not completely resist the invasion of these void demon claws. Clearly, these void demon claws were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. They had some special effects. Jiang Shenwu couldn't figure it out either. In any case, after being eroded by the void demonic claws, he felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. His physical body seemed fine, but the key was that his mental state suddenly became dispirited. This is a mental attack method. Kang Shinmu's face darkened. But before he could react, there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying consciousness awakening in his body and exploding in his mind. This kind of explosive mental power instantly filled Kang Shinmu's entire body of the divine dragon, making him excited. That sluggish mental state suddenly disappeared without a trace. It's the black dragon's consciousness helping me. It's awake? Kang Shinmu was a little puzzled. But in any case, the situation he was facing now was grim. He had cultivated a variety of body-refining dragon martial techniques, but he hadn't cultivated the spiritual defense-type dragon martial technique. The attack of the middle-rank demon spirit in front of him actually had the effect of making people sluggish, which really made Kang Shinmu unable to react. However, after the black dragon's consciousness seemed to awaken, Kang Shinmu became excited again. The power of devouring combined with the power of the dragon scar blood erupted at this moment, swallowing all the surrounding void demon claws. These void demon claws suddenly became Kang Shinmu's own power, and he could release them at any time. However, the middle-rank demon spirit definitely didn't know about this at the moment. When it released these void demon claws and bombarded and eroded Kang Shinmu's body, it didn't take Kang Shinmu seriously. Because in its opinion, Kang Shinmu must have lost most of his combat power after suffering such an attack from it. It was also at this moment. The attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl came from both sides. The ice attribute and fire attribute divine dragon power seemed to condense into two completely different worlds, burning half of the space into a fiery red color, and the other half of the space was decorated with a world of ice and snow. The two women's attacks only erupted at this moment. It wasn't that they were slow, but the middle-rank demon spirit's speed was too fast. The middle-rank demon spirit launched two attacks at Kang Shinmu, and the two women barely managed to burst out the first attack. The two women's attacks this time happened to be launched at the right time. At this moment, the middle-rank demon spirit was about to turn around to deal with the two women after its wave of attacks ended. In the end, the two women actually took the initiative to attack it, which surprised it a little. In its eyes, the strength of these two women wasn't weak. With the strength of the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, they were definitely not weak to be able to react so quickly and launch an attack at it. They were the elites among the dragon martial artists. Although this middle-rank demon spirit was trapped in a cage and knew that it wouldn't live for long, if it could kill more elite dragon martial artists, then it would be worth it even if it died. Immediately afterward, it quickly reacted and turned around. Countless void demon claws tore through the space, erupted within the protective barrier, and swept towards the two women. Those void demon claws directly shattered the two women's attacks. With one claw, the flames were extinguished, and the ice river was broken. Countless void demon claws spread out, whistling and sweeping towards the two women. This middle-rank demon spirit is too strong. That's right, it's not an ordinary middle-rank demon spirit. The demonic technique it cultivates even has the effect of mental trembling. That Kang Shinmu seems to have been stunned. With just these two little girls, they won't be able to block this middle-rank demon spirit's move. It seems that among the void demons, this middle-rank demon spirit is definitely not a simple character. It might even be a specially cultivated elite with a special status. Could it be the descendant of some great demon? Who knows? Anyway, this Kang Shinmu can be considered to have suffered a setback this time. If it was an ordinary middle-rank demon spirit, it would be impossible for it to be so strong. It's almost as strong as the 5th level of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Many people were discussing it animatedly. Some powerful dragon martial artists and even some dragon emperor mentors were shaking their heads. This time, Kang Shinmu's luck was really too bad. He encountered such a middle-rank demon spirit that had many means and was extremely powerful. This was a middle-rank demon spirit that could challenge those of a higher level. Looking at the situation, the beautiful mentor in the red dress from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy was even ready to help. However, at this moment, suddenly, a shocking demonic aura erupted from Kang Shinmu's body. How about this move? You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.